Hello there. Welcome back to the Agostino Zinga Show with your host, Agostino Zinga, and this is episode numero, which I always forget when I'm starting these bloody podcasts. For some bloody reason, I tend to forget the own number of my own pod because I'm an absolute loser. It's episode number 829. Thank you for tuning in to episode number 829 of the Agostino Zinga Show with your host, Agostino Zinga. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you wherever you are. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for tuning in. It's always a pleasure. Never a chore. Always a pleasure. Never a chore. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. How have I been? You're asking me. People keep asking me. The world keep asking me. How have I been? What's been going on? How's my mood? How's life? Doing pretty well, all things considered. I could be better. I really could be better, but I'm doing well, all things considered. You know, I'm trying my best out here. Niggas are trying his best out here. Just trying to put one foot in front of the other and not flipping lose my way along the way. But I hope you guys, wherever you are, wherever you're chilling, are feeling really good too. I really do hope. That's all I hope, you know what I mean? I'm not one for like big extravagant hopes, but I hopefully hope that some of you people are okay. That's all I flipping hope. So big up everybody tuning in, big up everybody that's locked in. I appreciate every single one of you, and I really do hope that some of you are going to be chilling with me for the foreseeable future and having a good time together, because that's all we can do. That really is all we can do in this little time that we're given. So hopefully that's the case. I've been thinking a lot lately about this quote that I saw on social media regarding the great late Virgil Abloh. R.I.P. Virgil Abloh, gone but never forgotten, gone but never bloody forgotten. And there's this really good quote I've been thinking about because it got me thinking in general about some of the missteps and errors that I've kind of made along the way, especially in recent years, and some of the things that I've been kind of quote unquote lacking on just in general. And the quote that I'm going to show you that I've been thinking about is this particular one, courtesy of social media, that I found this weekend or this past weekend on my travels, doing what I like to do best, which is, you know, waste a bunch of time on social media and procrastinating shit. So I saw this quote, right? I saw one of these quotes things on social media. I think I might have seen it on Modern Notoriety or Over and Under or Stay Grounded, one of these posts, right? So big up those pages that post some cool streetwear, creative, quotable type of things, right? I really do enjoy them. So this particular video was taken from one of the last videos that Virgil Abloh filmed before his untimely passing. I think this might have been one of the ones that he was doing for his like Off-White University mentorship thing that he was doing. Again, you have to kind of, you know, the guy was really ahead of his time and really stood on his own for the relentless way that he was trying to give away all the codes and, you know, help people through doing whatever they were doing in their life. And it wasn't always creative. It was just more so like, hey, I've done this thing. I'm whatever I can do on my side of things to help you do your thing, I'm going to help you do it. So we had this like open forum. I think this was either the open forum or this was like an aspect of his like mentorship thing or scholarship program where you could get on stream with him and basically asking questions. And obviously in true Virgil Abloh way, instead of having this behind a paywall, he also had the question Q&A thing with students available on his channel. So you could see somebody that maybe looked like you, was at the same stage of life as you, asking this great guy who's achieved so much already for advice, and maybe you can learn something from it. So amazing, right? And one of the quotes to come out of this session that really has been ringing true in my head, and I've kind of been mulling over and meditating on this past weekend, was the following: don't do it for them, do it for you. Everything I do is for the 17-year-old version of myself. But that particular last quote, everything I do is for the 70-year-old version of myself, has been really pinging around in my head this past weekend. And the reason why is because for the longest time, that is what I was doing. For the longest time, when I was trying to do my own thing, I was basically doing it I was doing it primarily to kind of appease and to satiate and to satisfy my 70-year-old self, who was just, you know, stuck in flipping Custom House, Canning Town at that time, living on my parents, using one dodgy PT to get on the internet, but just soaking up every bit of information I could online and wanting to take part. Like I was actively hungry, you know, downright frothing, gagging at the mouth to take part, but quickly realized, oh no, I can't just, you know, I don't need to just take part. I could also really contribute. Right? I don't need to work for these companies. I can kind of do my own thing. I can kind of pave my own way forward. It was really eye-opening to see, oh, wow, the people that started these brands, started these stores, these agencies, these magazines, these record labels, have these amazing parties, these events, had these really cool, amazing moments in culture and stuff. All these people are just like regular people like you and I, right? They they bleed just like you and I. They're regular human beings. So if they can do it, I can do it too. So that was kind of, that kind of realization gave me the drive and the energy to kind of do my own thing, which I ended up kind of doing in terms of doing a bunch of internships, working for a bunch of core brands, having some not so good jobs, having some good jobs, and blah, 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 blah. But I think along the way, the idea of kind of making something out of it was really something that came to the front of mind. So there was less about doing things just for the fun of it. Everything has to be attached to some sort of monetary fee. Something had to equal, had to have something you could get from it, whether it was clout, social media following, whatever it may be. You was always wanting something from it. Whereas I think in the past, when I was doing something, I would do it purely out of the love, purely just because I wanted to do it, because I found it fun, because I wanted to share, because I just wanted to take part, whatever it may be. But nowadays, things have gone a bit awry. And of course, I've taken my eye off the ball in certain situations as well, in terms of not really being kind of focused on the things that I should be doing, and blah, 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 blah. You know how that one goes. But when I was just looking at this, it honestly got me thinking to like, okay, cool. I need to get back to that wave. I need to get back to the wave of just doing things sometimes just for the love of doing it, and not thinking about anything else outside of that, and thinking to myself, hey, if I was my 17-year-old self now, like, how would I feel with some of the things and some of the decisions I've made? Would I be like proud of myself, or would I be shaking my head thinking, rah, look at all the stuff you have now? Because I remember, when I was coming up and stuff, I've always kind of had this mindset, and I'm thankful that I do, because I think if I didn't, because of my procrastination and my ability to kind of like, to sometimes take ages to do things, which is basically procrastination, but you know what I mean? Because of my, latent procrastination, I feel like if I didn't have the ability to just do things and make it work with what I have available, I would be one of those people that just wouldn't do anything. So I think that's been one of my only good traits over the years. But now that I have more access to things, I have more tools at my disposal, I'm a lot more wiser and older, I'm still not doing those things. So it's almost like I'm kind of going against my mantra. I'm going against what I was, what I kind of do. And I'm not really fully making the most out of the current situation. I'm like weirdly waiting for something. I don't know if it's approval. I don't know if it's a permission. I don't know if it's an opportunity, whatever it may be. But back then I wasn't. I was always just like kind of trying to get out there and get mine, which is, I think, is what some of our kind of forefathers and foresisters kind of did for us out there, innit? Or forefathers and foremothers. So that's what I'm going to be doing now going forward after I've seen this kind of Virgil quote, because I'm not going to lie, it's been mulling over in my head for the longest this past weekend, thinking to myself, rah, would my 17-year-old version of myself be proud of me now? And I know this is a question that gets asked all the time on podcasts, but I'm framing it more so in the sense of like, would they be proud of what I'm doing now? Like, would I be proud of myself at 17 with what I'm doing now, with how I'm using my time, with the stuff that I put out, with my work, with my output, and whatever else it may be. So going forward, I'm going to be doing my bestest to make sure that I satiate and kind of, and please my 17-year-old self, because Jesus Christos, sometimes the older you get, you sometimes lose sight of that sort of thing, and you start to, just expect. I won't say I'm an expecting type of person. I don't really think I'm entitled to anything, don't get me wrong. But, I just think it's a matter of just age and time. You just get to that point where you're like, okay, cool, now where's mine? You just start holding your hand out figuratively in your head, when really it's never really about that. It's always just about like having fun with these type of things and enjoying them, and kind of just doing it for shits and giggles, which has always been the best way to do it personally. I feel like doing stuff for shits and giggles, and just kind of having a good time with it, especially once your bills are paid and stuff, should be the best way to go about things, because there's less pressure on it. You're not really it's never like do or die every time you go out and make content. It's not like, oh shit, this fit pick has to be the one that makes me blow. You're just doing it for the sake of it. So you're going to be a little bit more creative. You're going to be a bit loose. There's not going to be so much pressure on the things that you're doing. So maybe that might allow you to be more creative, etc., etc., etc. You know the deal. So RIP to the great Virgil Abloh. And on top of that though, to end that Virgil Abloh segment, it's also just interesting to see the lack of I wonder if it's a confidence thing, or I wonder if it's like just making sure that you maintain the mystique, because that's one thing that he weirdly had in it. Virgil will be showing us screenshots of like meetings and like, you know, ideas being formulated within the flipping WhatsApp DMs, but then he would also be posting a ton of stories every single day, loads of fucking posts on the feed, but he's also had a bit of mystique to him. But nowadays you don't see any of that whatsoever. There is no one's really doing it at the level that he was doing it. Everyone's kind of gone back to kind of like, you know, acting mysterious, maybe even myself included, not really showing the process and kind of hiding everything. And I wonder if that's like something that I wonder if, because everyone's doing what he was not doing, if maybe the thing that he was doing was the outlier, and maybe most people should keep your things locked up and secret, or if you should be sharing everything. I personally think the latter. I personally think sharing everything is the way to go anyway. You know, you want people to kind of like know that you're this like, you know, creative being that has all these amazing ideas and stuff that you're thinking of a million times per hour, which is probably way more important to share that than to always wait for the finished product, or to wait for somebody to give you a collab or somebody to endorse you or something, and then suddenly you want to pop up and say, yeah, I'm this person. And it's like, what you're doing yourself is good enough, you know? You don't need to have somebody kind of give you validation in order to feel like your art or your practice or your work is like valid out there. If you say it's valid, you feel me? If you say it's valid, you're valid. And like I've always said, I think when it comes to the creative arts and stuff, like professionally anyway, you get to call yourself anything you want the moment somebody kind of pays you. It doesn't matter if they pay you $5, $300 or $5 million. As soon as somebody pays you for something, you get to call yourself a photographer, you can call yourself a writer, you can call yourself an editor and stylist, whatever you want to call yourself professionally. You can. Someone just has to pay you a single bloody dime. That's all it takes, really, a single bloody dime. And at some points as well, I don't even think a dime even matters. I think the most important thing is that you kind of believe it yourself. So big up all the people out there who are trying to get it, like I am, who are trying to get it like I am. Cool, Lee. Oh, on top of that, let's talk about a little bit about Man United. You see how much better my weekend is when United don't shit the bed. You see how better my weekend is when United don't shit the bed. No one's saying this changes anything about Erik ten Hag. If it was up to me, I wouldn't have given him a job in the summer. I would have sent him on these travels after we finished 8th. I don't care about that flipping FA Cup final win against Man City. Go away. We can't have United finishing 8th. That's unacceptable. The football we were playing, forget that. Actually, you know what? Scrap that. Forget the league position. The football we were playing last year was so bad that deserves a sacking. Not even the league position. Forget the league position. The football itself, the style of play was absolutely terrible. But he's here now. We can't change anything. And most likely, given how Ineos is moving, given the lack of movement and decisiveness, given the fact that we haven't really heard any murmurs that they were really going to sack him, I think most of that was coming from the press. It seems like Erik ten Hag was telling the truth. It seems like that guy was telling the truth. It seems like he was telling the truth. And he said, there's no, you know, he's not nervous. He's okay. I think at the time I was in a couple of Twitter spaces arguing with people, and a few people were right, to be honest. So big up the people in the Twitter spaces who were kind of calling it out. I think one particular guy was like, you know what, mate, because I was like, I made a point to say, why aren't Ineos coming out and making it clear that they're standing by Erik ten Hag? Because all these rumors, all this conjecture, all these stories is not good for the morale and for the mood of the change room or the manager. It's not fair. Like, even though I don't like Erik ten Hag and I fucking despise the guy, he pisses me off. I hate when he speaks in press conferences, hate the way we play, hate his selections, hate everything about him, the bold fraud. But I still recognize that it's really unfair that the owners are kind of hanging him out to dry. Why aren't they saying categorically, this is our man, we're going to stick by him, fans get behind your team? And that would force the fans to either get behind or shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? But they didn't do that. And somebody in the Twitter space has said to me quite accurately now, looking back, what if Erik ten Hag is saying what they want him to say? What if he's their spokesperson? What if he's coming out and saying what he's saying because he's been given assurances behind the scenes that his job is safe until the end of the season? And now it's looking like that might be true, because there's been no inclination that they were going to fire him before the international break or during international break. And now he's back, especially with this win now. I feel like United is, we exist on like a game-by-game basis anyway. Managers can lose their job or keep their job after one good game. It's really short-sighted and dumb. That's what it feels like being a United fan. So most likely, it seems like to me that he will see out the end of the season. I've always said, if you weren't going to fire him after the first few games of his new season, don't fire him at all. I think he deserves to finish the end of the season just because of how terrible of a coach he's been. If we have to suffer, he has to suffer. So if we finish 15th, I want him to be the manager that's managing us when we finish 15th. Because he's been an absolute dog shit. He's been a real disappointment. I was really keen on having him at the club, and he's really let me down as a fan because I like the way he played at, I like the way his team played at Ajax. I like how he set them up. Really exciting, way up style of play, blah, 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 blah. But so far in the 3 years or so he's been at the club, we haven't seen that, which has been really disappointing. Especially with the money spent. What is it, like over 600 million spent? Like absolutely diabolical. But anyway, all that put aside, the funny thing is, you can kind of, even though some of us Ten Hag outers have very nuanced opinions about why we want him out, the majority of the fan base aren't like that. The majority of the fan base just operate on I just want to see my team play and I want to see them win. So if you can win games, you can maybe silence a loud minority, because I don't think the majority of fans actually want Erik ten Hag to go. I think most United fans are a little bit rose tinted glasses. They have this like romantic vision of football. They want us to have another Sir Alex Ferguson. They want that sort of dynasty again. So they're very against sacking managers. Most United fans, I think, are very against sacking managers. They want to keep managers forever and ever. It's really dumb. It's really short-sighted. It doesn't really bode well to what the modern game is about. It's just, romantic thinking for the sake of it. But I think if he was smart, this is a thing that's really dumb, right? If Erik ten Hag was smart and he just focused on winning games, which is it's not easy, don't get me wrong, he could actually silence a very loud minority of fans and get most of the fans back on board. He could actually do that very easily if we just started winning games again. But we're not playing well and we're not winning games. So obviously he's getting it from two sides. He's getting it from the folks who just want us to win games and win trophies by all measures. And he's also getting it from people like myself who maybe are looking to stuff a little bit more geeky and a little bit more nuanced, who don't want him because we feel like we're not going to get anywhere anytime soon. Regardless, this particular game was, I think, make or break in the season of like vibes and backlash and whatever else in the season. Because, losing against Brentford, then having to face, I think we're facing Fenerbahce, I think in the Champions League, in the Europa League, Mourinho's team now he's managing, that would have been brutal. So the fact that we were able to beat Brentford at home the way we did, especially considering the performance, especially considering most people thought we were going to lose, I feel like it's going to give the players a lot of confidence going into the Fenerbahce game, which most likely, Jose Mourinho has a plan for us. They've already got Fred and Amrabat there balling out for them over there. They're going to want to perform out of their skins and show us what we missed. I'm one of the people who thinks we haven't really upgraded much from both of them. I personally, people, will probably throw tomatoes at me. But I think one of the most disappointing things about the 600, 700 million that's been spent so far is that I don't feel like we've got much of a big improvement from McFred. I don't think there's a big improvement in McFred from like Casemiro, from Ugarte and shit, and even Eriksen. I don't think there's much of a difference between those guys and McFred, in my personal opinion. But I could be wrong, but who knows? Regardless, this particular game against Brentford was make or break, and we did it. We beat them 2-1. I felt like it didn't start too great. I feel like in the first minute or so, the first maybe 3 minutes, Brentford had a chance where they sort of crossed the ball into the box, and the keeper, I think, or maybe Dalot kind of kicked it out of play, and that didn't bode well for the rest of the 25 minutes or so after that. I feel like Brentford had most of the control, which is kind of understandable considering how they play and shit. And we were kind of on the back foot, defending with 10 men behind the ball, which I think like aesthetically always looks ugly. Aesthetically, United playing at Old Trafford should never have 10 men behind the ball. I feel like we should always be pressuring the other teams, always be putting it on him, and always be putting it on them and having most of the possession of the ball. Of course, unless we play some of the big teams like the Liverpools and Man Cities, is different. But I feel like against Brentford, it's almost shameful that we're in that position, but it is what it is. I prefer us to be more compact and to be doing that than trying to do something that we can't do. Then actually, weirdly enough, I think the 25 minutes or so, I think Brentford controlled most of the game. Then I think we controlled the rest of that half. So 20 minutes onwards, or the 20 minutes after that, I feel like we controlled most of that half. So we kind of ended the first half, I think, a little bit on top, personally for me. Then unfortunately, we started off the second half really the worst way possible, conceding a goal straight away, basically from the kickoff, which was really concerning. But no, sorry, we could concede a goal in the first half, which again was really concerning because I feel like we finished the half strong. Then when we obviously started the second half, weirdly, we scored a very quick goal into the second half, which I feel like calmed the nerves. Because I feel like if we didn't score that goal in the first and second half as quick as we did, I'm not sure if we would have been able to win the game. I think that first goal was what kind of calmed the nerves and allowed us to kind of play some good football and do what needs to be done to obviously get the winner from Højlund and create good chance after that. I thought Garnacho was really good, even though he's a very frustrating player to watch. I feel like he's one of those type of players who most likely isn't going to score the easy goal, but always score the hard goal. So the goal that he did score in the second half, early doors, was a very hard chance compared to the other chances he had in the first half. Very, very difficult chance. Like, I think Rashford crossed into the box and he basically rifled it side foot volley into the net without letting the ball bounce. And it went, and I'm pretty sure like he was behind the defender, so he kind of would have saw the ball drop quite late. Very difficult chance to finish, but he finished it so flipping well. But that's the type of player that he is. But the thing that I don't like about Garnacho is that he doesn't get his head up enough for me. For as good as he is and the position that he gets into, I feel like whenever he gets to the byline, whenever there's an opportunity to shoot, he'll shoot. He won't cross. And if he does cross, he doesn't look up. That's an annoying thing for me. And I feel like he needs to vary his game in that regard because he's quite predictable. As soon as he gets in the box, he's always going to shoot. He's just going to manufacture a way for him to get a shot on target. Now, the good thing about his performance at Brentford is that he was very game. He seemed like the only player that was very hungry. He had a bit between his teeth and he was wanting to, every time he got the ball, he wanted to run at his man, he wanted to have a shot. So with that kind of performance, I think it rubs off everybody else, and everybody else kind of gets G'd up from that. So that was great to see. I feel like obviously we got to talk about the flipping Pinnock goal, which is a real disgrace, to be honest, because it kind of showed up our medical team. Because essentially, if I'm not mistaken, De Ligt got a head injury, and from what I remember seeing, his head was pouring out with blood. Now, I'm sure your head more blood comes out of your head when you're running around and shit, or you might just have, when you get a cut in your head, you just might just bleed way more than would do in any other part of your head. But it did look like it was bleeding a lot. So I was surprised when he went off the first time and they did just bandage him up straight away. I wonder why. I wonder if there's a new protocol. They don't want to do that. Is it because the players don't like to get bandage fucking, glue all over their hair? I don't know what it is, but I was surprised the medical team didn't bandage De Ligt up straight away. They didn't do that. He went back onto the pitch, and obviously whatever they did to clean up the wound and to get the blood off didn't work because his head started bleeding again, and the referee correctly had told him he had to go off again to get it treated. He goes off again to get it treated while we're defending a corner, and obviously Brentford scored through Pinnock. I don't think that was De Ligt's fault. It was mostly Dalot because he lost his man. But obviously having a player like De Ligt in the box might, disrupt that run that he did kind of from the centre circle all the way to the front and kind of losing his man. That was one thing. But again, I just think it's an error of our medical team. Our medical team should have never ever let De Ligt go back onto the pitch without making sure that blood wasn't going to be running as much as it did, or did some sort of dark arts to prevent flipping, Brentford taking that corner, but it did. Regardless, we kind of did really well second half. I thought Rashford played really well, to be completely honest, despite him playing really badly these last few weeks. I thought that was one of his best performances. I thought Højlund was fantastic. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. I thought Højlund was absolutely fantastic, and he's been very up and down lately, but his hold-up play, his link-up play was so good. I'm noticing a distinct lack in him always wanting to be combative with his defenders. I'm noticing that he's not always trying to back up into these defenders and arm wrestle them and just wrestle in general. He is being a little bit more cultured, let's say, dare I say, where he's kind of peeling off his defenders to receive the ball into space and then running at them without having to back up into them all the time, which I think worked because in the first 25 minutes, I feel like Pinnock had his number and was first to the ball all the time and would always leave a bit in. But I felt like after that, Højlund kind of got really acquainted and comfortable in the game and was able to make sure that he was linking up play well and not being kind of barged off the ball too much. So I really did enjoy Højlund's performance. I thought Casemiro and Eriksen in the midfield were really good. I thought Bruno was okay in parts. I thought his assist for flipping His assist for Højlund was superb. His assist for Højlund was out of this world. And we haven't seen that version of Bruno in a long time. The flicks around the corner, which I like him doing that high up the pitch. I don't like him doing those flicks when he's in his own half, right? Or when he's on the halfway line. But him, attempting those balls around the corner, those balls over a defender's knee to get the striker in, I'm all for it. So big up Højlund for that finish. It seemed very, Ruben Lissoy-esque to kind of finish it with one stabbing motion over the keeper. I really did enjoy that finish as well, so big up him. And then I think, who else I can mention here? I thought, I thought Martinez was pretty good at left back. I was surprised because I think the lineup showed Johnny Evans was going to play at left back, but I thought Martinez played pretty well there. Left back, he kind of offered a good outlet as well going forward, probably even more than Luke Shaw. That was what a standard Luke Shaw performance is like, just dependable and solid, and obviously offered a little bit of a outlet going forward. So I thought he played fairly well too. So all in all, I think we were very deserving of the victory. I feel like it gives the boys confidence heading into Fenerbahce, heading into the Fenerbahce game, and you just hope, you just flipping hope that this could be the springboard to get us back to actually winning more games. Because as much as I hate the manager want him out, I think most fans just want to be not depressed, on the Monday, and we have to kind of thank these flipping, ballers, we Man United team for allowing that, because I feel like every other weekend you can't really even watch Match of the Day properly because the team's going to lose, you get me? So good to see us not losing for once. Good to see us not losing for once. Hallelujah. Halle. Blood clot. Hallelujah. Moving on from that one, I want to quickly mention ADE. What's the deal with ADE? Wagwan with ADE. I feel like this is the first time in a while that I've seen people really hyping up ADE. And I want to know, is it because of really brilliant marketing? Is somebody in the team there responsible for the non-stop coverage of ADE? And by ADE, I mean Amsterdam Dance Event. I feel like I've heard of this before in the past, but I feel like this year in particular, it's been everywhere. I've not seen footage or clips or marketing or social media posts about ADE on my socials at some point. It feels like it's been absolutely everywhere. And so much so, the hype and the marketing has actually worked, because now I'm thinking, you know what, maybe I need to go there. Maybe I need to attend this thing. And if you're not aware, ADE is an event that happens in Amsterdam for 5 days, Amsterdam Dance Event, and essentially it's your chance to kind of, see a bunch of parties, or go to a bunch of parties, take part in a bunch of panel discussions that revolve around the dance music genre and sector and shit. So for someone like myself, who's a bit of a, nightclub fiend, this is obviously the best place to go. But to be honest, with it being in Amsterdam and shit, and a city that I've never really cared for that much, that's kind of been the reason why it's put me off. And in general, going to going to a place where there's going to be talks and events sounds a little bit lame, to be honest. But considering the amount of industry people that go there, they must be getting something from it. I'm sure not everybody that goes there is getting invited. I'm sure some of them have to pay for their own pass, so clearly they're getting something from it. So maybe it might be the place to go. So just checking out their Instagram here to see what they're talking about. Let's see some of these posts here, because I'm curious to see what they talk about. So it says, ADE Green marks a 10th impactful trip around the sun, leading the change in sustainable electronic music. Set to unfold at ADE Friday, this year's program sparks crucial conversations on accessibility, diversity, inclusivity, while challenging the industry to adopt bold new sustainability standards. That's a good job, innit? Like, if you're looking for a job in dance music or electronic music or nightlife, forget trying to be a DJ. Just try to get hired as like an accessibility, diversity, inclusivity person at like a club or an agency or something. You'll have a job for life. You'll have a job for life. You're not really doing anything. You're not really contributing to anything. You're not really making any change in the long term or even in the short term. But you'll have a job for life, because no one wants to fire the accessibility director, the diversity fucking coordinator, the inclusivity manager. No one's going to ever fire that person, and you're going to have a job for life because everyone wants to appear like they're doing good without actually doing good. So that's actually a really good way to get into the scene if you're curious, instead of trying to start up your own label, be a photographer, all this little nonsense, right? Try and be a DJ and artist. Who cares? Try and become an accessibility, diversity, inclusivity person in dance music, and you're going to kill it. Another post here, courtesy of ADE Instagram. What does this one say? Nowadays, it's not only our music that sets us apart as an artist. Personal branding might just be important. Defining your brand can feel overwhelming. Luckily, was it DMERK Platts has got you covered. At the ADE Pro Conference, this Amsterdam-based IP law firm and specialized in trademark agency teaches you all the tricks of the trade during their masterclass, how to legally protect your artistic uniqueness. Okay, cool. That sounds kind of fun. Well, they've got clips here. Who's this playing? E-Tape, Polychrome Audio, RPU team up for a daytime gathering in Tilatec. The free local collectives have curated a serious, playful lineup featuring Andy Garvey, Lena Willings, Lynx, and many more electronic music people. Let's see what this sounds like. I'll take the sound off before I get demonetized. Okay, cool. Looks pretty cool there. Like the look of it. Cool. I don't know. I might have to check out ADE, man. ADE looks like a vibe. On paper it looks kind of lame, but it looks like a vibe. Let's see what Kiki is saying. What's she saying here? Let's see what she's saying. What's this lady saying?
Yo, we're gonna throw the first ever free party in the Gashouder during ADE. See you Wednesday. It's gonna be sick.
Okay, that's why it's free. You know, oof. That's got to be a hard one to do, isn't it? Right. So big up Kiki. 5 hours gas holder. ADE October 16th, so it's already gone. Hosted by Awakenings, powered by Jagermeister. It's gonna be difficult, isn't it, when you're on dance music and you want to throw fun for your parties? Because I was thinking the other day, there is a big lack. There is a dearth, a lack of like free parties in general for whatever reason. There should be way more. But the only way you can throw a really good free party is to partner up with a liquor brand or like with a really corny sponsor, and one of them being Jagermeister, right? So yeah, if you want to do this free rave that everyone's going to be talking about forever, and you want to kind of leave people with lasting memories, you have to then stand around holding a Jaeger bottle, you know, like it's something, you know. You have to kind of do the whole pictures of you lying, of you having a bottle next to a pair of decks with your headphones on, not playing. Like you have to do all that really corny stuff to be able to get the funding to put this party on, but at least the people that go have a great time. Like, I'd rather save up money and just like blow it on a free party than have to fucking get sponsored by fucking Red Bull to put a free party on. That sounds disastrous. But I'm sure the reason why people don't do that is because why would you flipping waste your own money to put a free party on if Jagermeister and whoever owns them, Diageo, is willing to give you a fucking 10 mil budget or whatever it may be. I get it. But big up Kiki. What else we got here? We got some more footage here courtesy of AD Instagram account. What's this? Boomer Stera has stood as the forefront of electronic music as a founding partner at Amsterdam Dance Event. They're dedicated to making sure that when your tracks light up the dance floor or go viral online, you're compensated fairly. Collecting royalties worldwide, they make it easy for artists to get paid directly. Eager to learn more? Join. Okay, cool. That sounds kind of boring, but it sounds very apropos if you're a producer. What's this person saying here? What to do? Oh wow, this girl's 15. Big up the 15-year-old DJ. Love to see it. Big up the kids out there DJing. What else you got here? What is this one? Buckle up for ADE. Okay, I want to see some actual footage from the actual raves. Can we see some footage from the raves, please? Is that possible, ADE? Can you not be tight and show us some actual pictures and clips on the rave? Who is this talking? The leading breeding ground lab is going strong on day 2. Dive into the open decks or test the top hardware at the gear. So let's see what's this event saying. Yeah, it looks fun. I wonder if all these people that attend these events, do they actually work in the industry, or is everybody aspiring to work there? I wonder, because it's kind of wild to see all these people out. It's like, fuck, man. But these are actually the people who actually keep the scene alive, to be fair. The actual people behind the scenes that you don't actually see at night because they're probably asleep somewhere. They're the people that are, that are flipping, making sure your favorite DJ gets the certain club on time. They're doing it all from the comfort of their own home somewhere. But without them, your favorite DJ doesn't get to the club on time and you don't have a good time. So they are integral linchpins in the industry, really. So, maybe it's not so much of a bad job, really, if you think about it, because at least you get to take part without really taking part, without all the pressure of actually performing and all that malarkey. The two DJs that defined the moment followed each other at the Gus Order yesterday at Awakenings. Up close was Ben Hindle and Marlon Hofstad took place. Cool. That's good. There's a DJ Mag in conversation with Kiki there. Event that happened. Great to see. What else happened here? Anything else? What's this? Scaffy. Skate Cafe is a new to ADE, but not to the dancers. Perfectly orchestrated chaos of polyphonic and Love on the Rocks was one of the two's best nights and highlights. Okay, cool. I just love the fact that they have their own scene out there, man, which you don't really hear of the nights unless you're obviously plugged in, you won't know. But I like that they've got their own thing going on. They promote their own people. That's pretty cool. Probably even more than Berlin, I think. I feel like when I see lineups in Amsterdam events, it's loads of like local people. I feel like when you go, even some of the smaller Berlin clubs, they're always, booking loads of like big name people. But I feel like Amsterdam, they really go out of their way to kind of book people that live there, people that are local. It's pretty sick. Pretty cool to see all that happening. Actually, that's a nice DJ bag. Is that an ADE branded DJ bag there? I see. That's pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. I probably should have went there for that bag alone, innit? That bag is not bad. I probably should have went there for that ADE branded DJ bag alone. That looks pretty swanky. Yeah, look, and there's a ton of black people out there too. Pretty nice, isn't it? I don't think I've seen this many black people. I think if you did an ADE in London, you'd see how fucking Mundele it is. If there was an ADE based in London, you'd see how fucking Caucasian based the industry is here. It'd just be bare Italians. There'll be bare Italians and bare lads and lasses out here. There'll be no Negros, unfortunately. That's just the way things goes. What's this? There was a YouTube event as well. ADE Pro Lab session today took place, and we loved all the faces, making Amsterdam even more special. There was a YouTube Shorts event happening. Cool. Okay. Bless her. All the big wigs out there, you know what I mean? Having a good time, throwing shapes and shit. Oh look, Peggy Goo's out there as well. What was Peggy Goo saying? Let's see what was she saying? Peggy Goo back to back with Ryan Elliott at Radion. That's actually a really nice lineup. I'm not gonna lie. That's actually a very interesting fresh. I'd actually like to see that in the club. See Peggy Goo play back to back with fucking Ryan Elliott. That'd actually be pretty entertaining to watch. No cap. Is that Peggy Goo and Ryan Elliott back to back at Radion? You guessed it. Breakfast Club invites many living legends to the ADE get-togethers, taking over the lineup in venues, even though there's a last-minute change. Let's see what it's saying. I want to play. There you go. Okay. Fair play. Big up Ryan Elliott, big up Peggy Goo. Like to see that. And then what else have we got here anymore? I'll check out some other things here. What else do we see? Got some other things. Got pictures of bikes and shit. Let's go on the stories. We got any more videos of the events that happened there? Or are they keeping it all pretty stum? What's happening? Show us something. I love Hot Dads. Nice t-shirt. What has happened here? Cool. What was that? I don't know. I can't see who that was playing there, but look at the light show. Damn, son. Look at the light show. SoundCloud in session with Camden, Cox, and Andy, whoever that person is. Sheldon. Not gonna lie, I detest this. Like, the activations they do where it's like in the restaurant, but they've also got DJs playing. I fucking despise that shit. If I'm coming there to eat, you know what I mean? If anything, I wouldn't mind if you had like a sound system, but I don't want a person performing in front of me. I want it to be tucked away in the corner somewhere. I want to just eat. I don't want to eat and then watch you fucking mix. Do you know what I mean? I hate that mix personally. Maybe I'm in the minority in there, but I'd rather you have one turntable in the corner with a banging sound system there where someone's kind of playing different tunes, or even just have a really cool jukebox instead of having somebody flat out performing in front of me while I'm fucking trying to eat my sushi. You know what I mean? Allow that, please. Okay, cool. We got some bikes here. Oh, we got some voguing, ballroom shit in Amsterdam. DJ Babata. Babat. Okay. Who's this? Yeah, I don't even recognize a lot of the names, man. You got to pick up ADE. They bring out a whole bunch of people there, but I don't recognize a lot of the names. That's pretty sick. Like, it's all fresh faces. I'd love to see it. Or maybe they're all big and I'm not plugged in. Ron Trent, obviously I know. Big up Ron Trent. Ben Clock play too. Oh, my guy Tricks. Big up Tricks. Big up Trick. Nice. Oh, that looks good. That looks fucking good. Big up Tricks. Who's that? Patrick Mason. Right, Patrick Mason played to back-to-back with Kiki, I guess, right? There's Patrick Mason dancing. And I would have loved to have heard the conversations at the bar about Patrick Mason dancing on tables and shit, because I don't know why people in dance music are such haters and so vehemently anti-fun. Where, you know, let's say the guy has a banging personality and is just a cool guy. I don't know him, never met him in my life, so don't know. Maybe he is, maybe he won't. But let's say he is, but he also dances on tables and has a good time and looks like he's has an enthusiastically good time while he's playing. For some reason, people in dance music just hate it, and I've never understood why. Like, why do you despise the fact that he's not focused on playing? Who is focused on playing these days? Who does focus on playing? Most people aren't. Most people are focused on the fucking social media, making sure their friends get to the back, you know, wondering if they've still got their bag in their pocket. Can they sneak off to have a bump or whatever? Most people aren't focused anyway. So at least when he's playing, he's not just staring, you know, down at the mixer and not looking up at once. That's what, you know, what I do and most people do. You know, minimal fucking movements. And when you do move, you're doing so obviously because you see the cameras. At least he's dancing like no one's looking. And I quite enjoy that, you know, it's getting on the stage, being a rock star. Like, that's what you want to see when you go, you know, if you're paying fucking 30 euros to go see a DJ perform, at least nod your head. If you don't nod your head, I want to see you twerk on the fucking DJ booth, please. I'll get on that table, the whole thing breaks, bro. I'll get on that table, the whole thing breaks. Brutalism 3000. Someone called Taji playing. Who else was there? Don't forget to protect your ears. Cool. Bro, if your ears blow out, they blow out. What is it? Protect your ears. What next? What else is going on here? Let's see. And I think that's basically it, right? Yeah, cool. We got that as well. Okay, cool. It looks pretty sick, but the lineup is pretty mental, to be fair. The lineup is pretty mental. Oh, and by the way, just on the topic of flipping ear protection. Just on the topic of ear protection. I'm very anti ear protection. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very anti ear protection. Just for the mere fact of, like, if your ears can't handle it, going to clubs and stuff and seeing live music or listen to live music, that might be your sign to stay at home. That might be your sign to hang it up. It's like when people start deciding to put like gel insoles in their boots to make sure they can last on nights out and shit, or try and figure out ways to stay awake without doing drugs and drink. It's like, bro, if you need all these, you know, gadgets and tools and equipment to keep you upright and to keep your ears from not working and shit, then maybe it's time to hang it up and start a family. Maybe it's time to get a dog. Maybe it's time to get a cat. Maybe it's time to start fishing, start playing golf. Find something else apart from going out. It's not that deep anyway. You know, going out is great. I like it. I love to go to clubs and shit, but it's not the be all and end all. If you have to find other hobbies, it's a good thing for you. You know what I mean? It probably is a good thing for you. It'll get you out there. It will expand your fucking horizons. It'll allow you to meet new people and shit. But like going out and getting fucking like, you know, going to clubs with the little, I saw a bunch of people in Fold, especially younger kids. Like, what were these younger kids doing with these little flipping ear protection things in there? You know, just walking around like, sorry, what are you saying? And taking it out. It's like, you flip like high level dork activities. Like, leave your ear protection things at home. Go and, you know, make your ears bleed like the rest of us. If you lose your earring in one ear, that's the price of paying of going to see some of your favorite DJs play in some of the best clubs in the world. It is what it is. Allow this fucking ear protection shit, man. Don't be lame. Listen to the stuff if you can listen to it. If you can't, go the fuck home. So ADE, a brief synopsis: 5 days and nights, 200 plus venues, 2,900 artists. Explore the ADE festival program and look at the lineup of people that played, bro. Like, look at the lineup. Honestly, I might need to go out there next year, bro. Sunday, 24th October. Look who was there. Look at this. Look at the lineup. Crazy. All the greats. You got Chloe, Chalet playing. Dixon was playing there. That's the Innovision night, right? That already happened at Loft Amsterdam. That was the Innovision night. Look at the lineup there. Chloe, Chalet, Dixon, Jimmy Jules. Was that Kuluya, Karma, Tricks playing? God damn, insane. Oh, and I bet they put their locate or where they were born in brackets, so to obviously give you an idea on like how international the conference is and shit. Okay, that's fair. I don't really see what the need of that is, but whatever. I guess we now know where they're from. You've got a Joseph Capriati event happening there. Yeah, so many. There's an Afrobeats event happening. Wow. So AD isn't just techno and house. You got Afrobeats, Amapiano, hip hop, rap, you know, everything. Wow, not too bad actually. You know, I might have to go give it a bit of a look. The Brazilian funk mites were on as well. Jesus, Intercell night, Benny Rodriguez, who I love. Big up him. Sick event. You got Erste Commune. They had an event there, or having one now at the moment. I think it's probably still going on now. So big up everybody at Erste Commune having a good time. So yeah, there's a Grime Museum event. Shit, I'm gonna have to go check it out next year, bro, and go for the whole 5 days. Why not? See while I go on, walk around, go to fucking, you know, conferences and shit, and find out how to break through. Sit there taking scrupulous notes about when to upload onto SoundCloud to get more listeners. Yeah, I might have to do that. Speedy J event happening. There was a Goo Talks event happening. See there, Goo, Peggy Goo, Alinka, Ans, Bamboo. Wow, okay, she smashed it. Like to see it. Is that like an all-girl lineup, by the way? Big up her. That might be an all-girl lineup. She fucking killed it there. Okay, cool. Next time we will check it out. Big up the one and only ADE. The events look pretty sick, and they go live, man. There's so many events on the like. How do you choose where to go then? Look at the amount of things are on. Fucking hell. How the fuck do you choose where to go? How, Sway? How? I don't know. I guess they'll figure it out themselves. Big up the one and only ADE. So, moving on from that particular one, moving blood clot on. We need to talk a little bit about this clip before we continue. Bear with me. It's a clip that's been going kind of viral on my side of the internet that I want to speak to you guys about a little bit here, because I feel like it might be pertinent to what I was speaking of earlier myself. So here it goes. So this particular clip, courtesy of social media, was doing the rounds. People getting flipping annoyed and angry and pissed off at what they saw when they saw this particular video doing the rounds on my side of socials. So I'm going to play it for you here. Bear with me. Where is it? As I get here, big up the stream chat too. People locked in, appreciate you. I'm driving, looking at the stars, loving this all, but these birds crazy shifting about. Yeah, big up Eduardo. What's Eduardo talking about? Oh, big up Uche is on the chat. I see you there, Wagwan. Hope you're well, my dear. So let me get the clip up for you so you can see what I'm talking about. So this particular one. So big up the one and only. Big up the one and only Keinemusik, right? Who I have a lot of time for. I'm not gonna lie. I have a lot of time for Keinemusik. I know some people don't, but it's because I've kind of known of them since their inception. You know, I've known of Adam Port for a long time. Weirdly enough, we used to kind of post on the same fashion forum back in the day, which was Super Future. But I think he didn't even DJ back then. Actually, when he used to post on Super Future, he's just like a regular guy poster on there. That's how I kind of recognized him when he started to make music and started to DJ, obviously. So I'm familiar with the crew for a very, 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 very long time. But over the years, don't get me wrong, I've also, like many people, fallen out of love of how famous they've become over the years. But it's just a natural consequence of them being like almost probably 20 decades maybe let's say close to 20 decades as a collective, but maybe more than 2 decades, no, close to 2 decades as a collective, but over 2 decades, individually doing their thing in dance music. So I think their current level of hype at the moment is somewhat justified and makes a lot of sense in my personal opinion. I don't think it's like that crazy that they are as big as they are, but I know a lot of people aren't really happy with the fact that they've gone this big, and some of their events are kind of suffering because the crowd that they're bringing, the fact that they're selling out is incredibly quick, the fact that some of them tend to get oversold, is really kind of hampering, the experience for a lot of people that actually go. But overall, I think it's quite cool for people to see what is basically possible in dance music, for people to start off very small, doing their own thing, champion a particular sound. I feel like at that time wasn't really being kind of championed, right? This like atmospheric house music, because I think even in the beginning they weren't really like, there wasn't a lot of like, I don't think, African influences. Maybe you might say tribal, but maybe most of it was like house, minimal tech housey type of stuff. But mostly I think what they kind of championed was what I deemed to be kind of atmospheric house, which is kind of akin to like FIFA music, right? The stuff that you would listen to during the menu screen of playing FIFA or whatnot. But they've been the best at doing it. And over the years, they've kind of grown and grown and grown and grown, and people haven't been too fond of it. Well, they went kind of viral on my side of social media because this particular clip here that shows them playing in Ibiza recently. And let's just say the crowd is very, very still as they're playing, right? It's a very strange crowd. I'll just play the clip for you so you can see what I'm saying. But people had a lot to say about the crowd's reaction to Keinemusik playing. So this is the clip that's gone somewhat viral on my side of social media. So if you can't see the video in particular, it shows the whole of Keinemusik, Adam Paul, and me and Rampa playing in front of a very packed crowd of people in the nightclub. And essentially everybody in that club is just staring at them with their phones held up, basically waiting for the drop. That's essentially what they're doing from what I can see. From what I can surmise with my years of experience going to clubs, what I can see is that they're either trying to record song IDs or they're waiting for the drop. But I think most likely they're waiting for the drop. So they're all just standing there looking at Anmi and Ramfa. So Anmi, Ramfa, and Adam Port playing, just waiting for the drop to happen. And the funny thing is, if you look at them, it doesn't even look like some of them are high. It doesn't even look like they're drunk. It looks like they're completely stone cold sober, just staring at these guys playing. And I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever played before, if you've ever done like if you've ever spoken in front of a crowd, you know how disconcerting it is when you lock eyes with somebody. It's pretty hard to not lock eyes with somebody when you're doing a speech, but if you do, it's really hard to unsee that person. So it's doubly difficult. Trust me, from my low level of playing as a DJ, I don't know this more than anybody. When I play in some of the clubs and bars that I played in, and there's hardly anyone there, or there are people there and you can see them, you can see the fucking balls of their eyes. It is quite unsettling when you're playing and they're just staring at you. It's something very unsettling about it. It can be very kind of like nerve-wracking. It can make you kind of like, anxious and stuff. It just isn't the best experience. And also you think to yourself, hold on, if you're having a good time, why are you just staring at me? Why aren't you dancing? Why don't you have your back to me? Why aren't you in the toilet taking a million bumps? Why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you trying to chew someone's ear off next to the bar? Whatever, like doing whatever you need to be doing. But they're not doing it. They're just standing there recording, and obviously people on social media are going crazy about it. Now, personally, I've got a controversial opinion here. I don't think this is a bad thing. I don't mind this in the slightest. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. Why don't I mind this in the slightest? I think this is par for course when it comes to tech house, minimal, amapiano, white, Amapiano music presented by white people type of stuff scenarios. This is what you get. I don't think I've seen a single video from Ibiza where people play this type of music that isn't a kind of isn't a copy of this particular type of crowd. There might be pockets of people dancing, but every video I've seen from the Ibiza season, I've seen for people partying in, Miami and shit, in other parts of Europe, playing type of music, they all do this. This is just how they rave. Like, you look at that Kappa Future event in Italy, that's the same. You just see scores of Italian men and women just standing there, right? They all look the same. They all got dark hair. It's just like all standing doing the same thing. The only place where I don't see people kind of doing this might be Sunwaves. The clips I've seen of Sunwaves Festival, the one that happens in Romania, I think I see a bunch of people dancing. Weirdly enough, you see people actually having a good time. But every other event I've seen that occupies that sort of like tech house scene, people just go there to do this. So in a way, this isn't bad. This is just how they consume raving. This is how they enjoy themselves. I think for us on the outside, it looks strange because, you're used to going to a party in a rave, see people dancing, just seeing them standing there recording is odd. But essentially, you have to think of these guys less as DJs and more as like live acts. They're not really live acts, but they are. So when you go to live shows these days, even when you're on the ground floor, most people are just there staring at them, at the person playing, the artist or the band, and recording, which is always, I thought, weird, because most people, myself included, when you go see a live show, whatever clip you did record, you're never going to check it again anyway. You might sit there for fucking 30 minutes, but that video clip that you recorded, you're not uploading it to YouTube, you're not posting it anyway, you just have it on your phone taking up space. So this whole idea of like just going to a concert or a rave, paying your entry fee, buying drinks, just so you can stand and watch the thing through your phone is really bizarre to me personally. I think, having the odd clip in here and there to document your adventures, maybe to get a song fucking ID, fair, but just to go there full and just to stand there is just fucking bizarre, just record it. But that's how they like to enjoy their music. So I don't really have a problem with it. The thing that I admire the most is the DJs. I admire the DJs. I admire Anmi, Ramtha, and Adam Port's ability to play in front of this type of crowd every weekend. Because don't get it confused. There might be some raves they go to. I'm sure when they go to like regions that most DJs don't go, let's say like they go to Central America, South America, Southeast Asia, parts of Africa, I'm sure people turn up, right? Because those venues or those regions, those type of DJs don't usually come. When they do come, people go crazy. So I'm sure when they go to those type of places, they have a good time. But I think the majority of their bookings, their crowds look like this. So could you imagine how boring and monotonous it must get to keep performing in front of these type of crowds every weekend? Yes, they're getting paid, 30 grand per set. You're living life. You have a Hermes Birkin bag as a DJ bag and shit. And, I think there's a Goyard bag there. I think there's a Goyard bag there on the thing as another kind of DJ bag to put your headphones and your, whatever else you're fucking, your jack and shit inside, right? You got USB. Basically, the contents of your DJ bag is not worth more than the bag itself, right? You're fucking dating Naomi Campbell, as Ramtha allegedly was and shit. You're having a good time. You're having a blast. But I can't imagine what it must be like to play in venues and this is the type of crowd that you're seeing every single weekend. It would, honestly, I'd have to off myself. Because that's the one thing that's really kind of depressing. Like, which is weird because this almost feels like to me, like what I've said before about, I feel like people that are really poor or people that have grown up really poor and people that have grown up really rich have a lot more in common than they have not in common. And I feel like the same thing goes to DJs. Very small DJs, up and coming ones, have a lot more in common with the very high paying ones because, the crowds basically kind of are the same. So when I'm playing in these bars and these clubs or these pubs, let's say, when I'm playing in these pubs that also have sound systems or they have just decks and one speaker, that's basically what they have, right? These places I play at, they have a set of DC DJs, which is lucky, a mixer and one speaker. So that speaker is both your monitor and a speaker that goes out to the pub itself. When I'm playing these places, I either have people with their backs to me eating burgers and fries, or I have people just standing there with a drink in their hand looking at me as I'm playing, which is very unsettling. So, those are the things that kind of bum you out because you're playing in a club and you're thinking you're doing a good job, but no one's really dancing because there's no real area to dance. And if you are dancing, you kind of feel a little bit uncomfortable because you're the only one dancing. So people tend to kind of be shy about doing it. So, or somebody is kind of showing their appreciation by just watching you. standing there watching you with their plastic cup full of warm beer piss, and you have to stand there and like not look at them or look at them. It's weird. So it's a strange place to be. So I admire these guys for doing what they're doing. It's not the greatest, would I want to go to an event like this? Probably not. But again, this is just the level of celebrity they're at. They have, they're featured on GTA. I think there's a post here actually there's a post here courtesy of Hypebeast where they did an event for AP, right? There's an Onomatopoeia Go shut down Bergenstock with Keinemusik. So Keinemusik did an event with AP. So most likely, if you think Keinemusik have sold out, they're most likely going to put out a collaboration watch. Is that Lucas Sabat in the booth? Yeah, look, they've even got Lucas Sabat in the booth as well. So Keinemusik are at a stage now where they have Lucas Sabat in the DJ booth, and they're probably going to have a collaboration watch that's going to come out with fucking AP sometime soon, which is fucking crazy to think, right? Like a DJ collective that used to be throwing like warehouse raves and shit, playing Amapiano and, tech house and minimal and shit, are probably going to be in a position to be selling collaborative, 30K, 50K, however much AP watches to their fans and shit. So this is the level that they're at the moment, that's just the level that they're at. I think as a fan, the good thing is they still tour and go to like some of the best clubs in the world. So if you want to go and see them, probably your best bet would probably to go and see them at those type of clubs. But if you do go to some of these Ibiza events and shit, you are going to see what you see in that video. You're going to see a bunch of people who have only seen these guys on social. They see all the hype and now they want to be a part of it too. Actually, what are those headphones he's wearing? Oh, that's that company Teal, isn't it? Telly. Those look quite nice actually. I wonder what those headphones are. What's that? How do you pronounce that? Is it? I think it's TEI like that, right? Telly. Is it electronic? Right? That might be the one. Let's see what those headphones are. The headphones look quite nice. I'm in the market for some new headphones actually because I unfortunately lost my Sennheiser HD25s and I don't want to use my phone as like a daily thing because they're just too expensive and nice. So I need something to kind of bash about in. Do you know what I mean? So I'm actually I'm actually on the lookout for some good DJ headphones. So let's see what this company's called Teile, Teile. Let's see what they've got here. They've got some cables, they've got some effects and shit, they've got good t-shirts, they've got that doll. Let's see, where's the headphones? Okay, I don't see the headphones there. I thought they had headphones. I think he's wearing headphones. I think it's what he's wearing, isn't it? Let's see Telly headphones. They do not have headphones here. I'd like to see if I could potentially take their maybe it's a collaboration with that AII company or whatever. Maybe that's it. Maybe they don't really have headphones, or maybe he's wearing something that's not out yet. Maybe that's what he's seeing there. Maybe those things that he's wearing on his head aren't really out yet at the moment. I don't see them available just yet. So maybe the ones that he had aren't available. So what's that clip? There's that clip here from TikTok. I think that might be from the event, is it right? So it's just from TikTok. Discover the sounds of the quality. Okay, cool. So I guess they're due to come out, but I don't know when. I guess they're due to come out at some point, or maybe they were out before, but they've sold out. But this TikTok video does show that I'm not bugging. There are such thing as Telly headphones. It looks like there's a clip here of Ramtha from TikTok. Hopefully this video doesn't give my computer an aneurysm. Bear with me a moment as it actually potentially loads. There you go. Okay, I think they're due to come out soon then. Judging by the eyes that he's put there. So Telly headphones. So they're not out yet at the moment. They're not really out yet at the moment, but they're probably due to come out very soon, I'm assuming. So yeah, they've got headphones and shit. They're living life. So I'm not too surprised to see the event that we saw before be the way it's like. Look even at this picture here. This is a picture from the event they did with AP. And look at the amount of phones here, you know? It's just what that crowd does. This crowd likes to document. They want to put stuff like this on social. They're not really about not having phones out. They want to have their phones out. They want to have a good time. And this is just what they're going to do, you know? That's just the name of the game. So I think we kind of have to just accept that some raves, some raves people are going to be dancing, having a good time. And some raves people are going to be holding out their phones, recording every single last minute of their experience while watching the experience through their phone screen and not actually enjoying it and never revisiting that video again. And some places that you go to are going to be fun for the sake of just not having the phones out, which is what I experienced on Winter Fold recently. that, you know, a couple of weeks ago for the Forward event, was that it was like, okay, this club is great, don't get me wrong, but it is very simple and very bare bones. But it's also very easy, I feel like, to kind of crush them and kind of do your own thing. Because the one kind of thing that they do better than most is they really implement the sticker thing on your phone. And now, even before, I think when I went in the past, they would give you the thing and you put it on your phone yourself. But now the guy actually takes your phone and puts it on, you know? It's that type of thing. No, sorry. He tells you to flip your phone and he puts the thing on. In the past, they would just give you the sticker and tell you to put it on there yourself. So they're really going hard and implementing the whole no photos thing. And I feel like that's the main reason why the club is what it is, because people go in there and just have a good time. They're not just focused on fucking taking pictures all the time. So if you did want to kind of mix things up a bit, I wonder what would happen actually if you did book these guys and have it stipulated in the venue that you couldn't record. I bet you it might be one of the best raves. Like if you booked Keinemusik and said, hey, this event is no photos allowed, it might actually be one of the best ones because everything else you can see from them. Wherever they play, you can probably find video clips of where they play and shit. But if you were the one place that said, nah, no pictures allowed, I reckon you'd be like, you probably get the best out of them, most likely. But I don't think that video, as we saw there, is like a rare case, because we've got loads of evidence here of people. Look at the amount of phones. Look, there's just phones everywhere. And I think AP are happy about it because this is part of the marketing. This is part of what makes what they do great, right? People are happy to see this type of stuff. They want to, they want people to document every last bit of what they do. So I think they're more than happy with people coming to their events and holding their phones up in the air and never putting them down again. I think honestly they're completely happy about that. So as annoying as it might be for a lot of people out there to see videos like this of people just standing in raves not really enjoying themselves, I think you just have to chalk it up to them being really big, really popular, and that particular scene of people just enjoying raving this way. It just is the way it is, really. It just is the way it is. But there is a really funny video actually. Big up Tonics. Tonics actually put out a really funny video. Where are they actually? Let me see them. Tonics Instagram, right? Big up Tonics. Oh, let me see there. Tonics Instagram. They did put up a really funny video, poking fun at Keinemusik, because you think, you know, Tonics might be the new kind of music in a way. They're a collective as well. They put out a lot of records. They put some great parties on. I went to go to one of their parties, the Altalo Rama party at Oxy a few months ago. That's really cool. I really recommend you go check that out. They've also got another event, I think, in Berlin happening, if I'm not mistaken. I think the middle of next month, innit, or something. I think they've got an event happening in Berlin again. So I really do recommend you check them out. But Tonics put out a pretty fun little video here, poking fun at that Keinemusik clip. So let me show you this. Let me show. Look at Tonics being petty. Look at Tonics being petty and poking fun at them. So this is from Tonics' Instagram account. Let's read the caption. It's all about good music. Good music makes people come together and creates happiness, and that's what we want to create at our Tonics jams. Here we were in London at the great Village Underground Club, 1,500 kids having a good time dancing to the music of Capote and our Tonics crew. If you want to feel the same vibes, have a listen to our playlist on Spotify. Let's play it. To be fair, it is a bit different. There is a severe lack of everyone's hands in the air. There's a severe lack of phones in their hands, and you can see a bunch of people dancing, like legitimately swaying from side to side, having a good time. DJ's got his vest on and shit. Look, everyone's really having a great time. So that definitely is something to be said here. But where is the one I wanted to show you? This is the one. Is it the one? Where is it? What's that video they're taking the piss out of fucking Keinemusik. Which one is it? Oh, I lost it. Which one was it? This one? Maybe it's this one. Bear with me a second as I make it load. Is it that one? Nope, it's not that one. Where is it? The legendary toy. Wow, where the fuck did they put it? Maybe I fucking got it up the wrong way. Bear with me 1 secundo. I think I didn't get up on here the right way. Ah, damn, son. Where is it? Okay, there, I got it. Alright, save. I think I should have it now. Bear with me 1 secundo. I should have it now. Okay, there we go. Bish bish bosh, where are you? Oops. Oopsie. Let me get. If you enjoyed the stream, you like what you see, make sure you smash that like button down below as well. If you're watching this podcast via the live stream, that'd be greatly appreciated. And of course, all links and timestamps and stuff will be added after the fact. If you're watching this via anything else, that will be added on there as well. So big up everybody tuning in. I appreciate you guys so much. Let me get this clip up on here. Let's see if I can find it. There you go, saved. Boom. I think I found it now. There we go. I think we should have it here in 1 second. Okay, cool. I got it now. Yeah, so big up them. Oh, let's pause. So this is the video that I was talking about. This one, look at this. So this is the one where Tonics are kind of poking fun at the Keinemusik video that I showed you. The caption says, "Hello, just to remind, real DJ culture is about love of quality music, celebrating together, creating positive vibes, discovering new tunes, listening to innovative DJs that have knowledge and skill, and it's about passion. It's sad to see how many DJ events nowadays seem only to be made for Instagram clips or satisfying corporate brands that sponsor parties or DJs. We are different. Tonics Collective has no sponsors at all, and we do it 100% for love of the music and the art of DJing. It's passion, not busyness. And you can see this passion also with our dancers and community. Thanks for following and supporting what we do with Tonics." So, you know, little bit, you know, a little bit beefy, a little bit mean, but they might have a point here. Let's play the clip. This is Tonics. Vibes. Okay, fair enough. Now, personally, I think both things can coexist. I don't think there's one right way to party. Obviously, there's maybe a better experience based on your kind of preferences, but I don't think there's one way to rave. I don't think so. I think if you want that kind of sterilized corporate type of vibe, if you're already in Ibiza and you hear Keinemusik are playing and you want to see them play because you saw them on Instagram, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you want to record every bit of footage of them playing and post it on your socials, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But it's good to have another option where if you want to hear that music but you don't want to be amongst people that don't want to dance and look too pretty and stuff, you can go to a 100% independent funded crew like Tonics and go to their events and have a blast, which I did when I went to their event in fucking Berlin. They put on really good events. I recommend you check them out. This is them, Tonics. I say they play similar music like Keinemusik, but I wouldn't really, because most of their music is I think better. It's mostly house, variations of house, Italo disco, everything else in between. They have some great records they put out as well. They also have quite a decent Spotify playlist as well. They keep up and updating with tunes that they release on their own label and whatnot, so you can check that out to get kind of a vibe of what they do. But they put on loads of events, as you can see here. They've got a London event happening soon, I think, too. They've got Tonics. This is what I went to. This is called Italo Mania, where they mainly play Italo music, Italo disco and shit, which is quite fun to listen to in Berlin because, it's a techno city. So to hear that type of vibe in there is quite refreshing. And obviously, there's usually a bunch of Italian, Spanish, French people there who love that type of music too. So it's quite fun to go to that event and hear all these like Mediterranean people like screaming the lyrics of these songs, legendary kind of Italo songs, word for word in the dance. Like, it's fucking hilarious, and these edits and stuff. So it's quite cool to go check out. So they've got one happening in Berlin at Oxy, happening soon, and a few other places. They've got a London one happening 30th of December, another one happening in Oxy 20th of December. Yeah, they do a lot of fucking great shit. So big up fucking Tonics. But yeah, a little bit mean, I'd say, but I think they've got a point here. But there is no wrong or right way to DJ. No wrong or right way to kind of rave and enjoy your stuff. Enjoy it how you want to enjoy it, but it's kind of good that we've got social because you can see exactly what type of stuff you're getting yourself into. So if you do go to a Keinemusik event and it's dead, you're not allowed to complain on social because I'll go on. If you go to a Tonics event and it's too hype for you, you're not allowed to complain because you know what it's about. But the options are there, and I feel like the options are always the best thing in my personal opinion. But again, what do I know? Absolutely nada. But talking of Tonics though, honestly, Tonics might be the only, I think, collective or whatever out there that if I did have a chance to flipping join, I would join in a flipping heartbeat, especially because of the type of music they put out and the raves they put on and stuff, and the variety of DJs they have. I think they've also got I'm pretty sure they're doing a panorama bar event happening very soon as well. So they play in all types of different cool places. They put on loads of really cool, interesting, fucking fun nights, as you can see here. And they also have a really strong crew of people that cover the whole remit, I think, of fucking musicians and shit, which I'm always been a big fan of when it comes to all that sort of malarkey. So big up fucking Tonics. There's actually a video here I want to play from them to kind of show you some of the things that they kind of do, but the vibes are always immaculate at the fucking events that they put on, to be honest. So big up them. There's another one too about the event. We probably need some of this in London. I'm not gonna lie. There's too many. I feel like even the big up all my people from the LGBTQ plus queer scene who are flipping killing it. I feel like even those lot, everything they do is mostly techno. I don't feel like there's a lot of this, but they probably wouldn't go to this events because these events are, I'd say, more on the hetero side. But we probably do need a lot more of these type of events in London. There's too much. I feel like there's too much techno now. If that makes sense. Could that make sense? I feel like there's too much techno in London now. There's not enough like party music or vibes. I don't even know who puts on the best disco night, and that used to be a thing back in the day. You know what? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The only way to create this sort of vibe is just to have people not taking pictures. The only way to do this, is to make sure you implement a rule where no pictures are allowed. That's the only way. You can't. There's no way you can do this, because I think most people's inclination when they go out is to record shit, is to kind of document what they're doing, and unfortunately that kind of ruins the vibes and kind of puts a block in front of people physically and metaphorically, and just ruins the overall ambiance. But if you kind of stipulate it and you write some really wordy, you know, fucking cringy, nauseating post about why it's important to not have your phones out and the purity of the rave and the history of like all that sort of stuff, right? People can, you know, people love a bit of spiel that they can buy into. People are going to buy into it. But I think you really have to kind of enforce it. You can't just trust people being their good behavior, because the people aren't getting their phones out now because it's not really seen as a, you know, as a good thing to kind of get your phones out. And I have to be honest, even when I went to Ford, actually, one of the things that I was weirded out about is that the sticker they put on your phone as well, it's not really like, you know, it's good, but it's not really the good one. I think it's a big square one they put right across the front of your phone. It also doubles up as like a bit of branding because it's got the Fold logo on it as well, as opposed to putting actual. I think when you go into Europe, they give you those proper hard to take off like circular stickers that stick on each camera and shit, to make sure you can't take it off and that you should be kind of focusing on just dancing. But the only way you can do this is just to make sure that you have people not flipping have pictures out. But what's this blurb say? This blurb says, Tonics crew last year in Amsterdam, this Saturday we do it again. 100% passion music, no commercial techno, trance or EDM. Did you realize that there are no phones in the videos? People prefer to dance and enjoy the music with each other instead of filming. But I think they also enforced it. I think they're trying to act like this is just their community who are well behaved. But I've got a feeling, because you know, when I went to the one at Oxy, the club in Oxy, all clubs in Berlin cover your fucking cameras. So I think most of the clubs they go to and perform at, they have this rule anyway. I don't think this is just their community of ravers who are just like well behaved and good people. I doubt it very, because I think most people, if they could record, would. But if you can't, you're gonna enjoy yourself, you know. But you just need to be told, especially us Brits. I think we need to be told for real. Now look at this video. This is a pretty good one too, to get the vibe of Tonics on a boat in the sea.
Don't make me waste money on an outfit.
Yeah, it's just what someone said. It makes my stomach turn when I see people recording at concerts. Big up Shades Cal. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, just enjoy yourself. I think nowadays too, more so, especially after going to Fold the other day. Like, I forgot how expensive it is, man. Like, that ticket was like £27. It might have been £30 all in. Yes, I didn't drink. I wasn't doing any drugs, but still, it's an expensive night out. Like, luckily, I took my little Supreme, bum bag thing so I could stuff my hoodie into it. I didn't need to use a cloakroom, which is a bit, a little bit cheap of me. I should have probably put my bum bag into cloakroom. But if I did put my bum bag in a cloakroom, it would have cost me all in 50 quid, including my train. I took the train up there. I took the train back home again. It would have cost me 50 quid to go out. Like, spending 50 quid to go out and just to stand there recording your phone seems like a real waste of money. So I've never understood why people nowadays, especially more than ever, why you would spend that kind of money to go out and just record. Like, surely you want to have a good time. Surely you want to get your value for money by just, at the very least, just getting yourself like shit-faced. And the only way to get yourself shit-faced is to not have your phone out. Really, why would you want to record yourself getting shit-faced? It makes no sense. You're lucky to lose it and you look like a fucking fool. So you're better off just like, really kind of being present in the flipping space, enjoying yourself and having a good time, and then taking it from there. And you'll also be able to accurately judge if you're having a good time or not based on that as well. So regardless, anyway, big up Tonics, big up Keinemusik. Whatever's your flavor, I'm for. I don't think there should be any separation in dance music. I hate the infighting. I hate, this is not music, that is music. No, everyone here also enjoys music. Everybody that went to this AP Keinemusik event also loves music, also loves raves, is also passionate about the scene, also wants to take part. They're just as valuable, they're just as worthy, they're just as deserving of whatever they're having as anyone that goes to a Tonics thing. I don't think there should be like, you're not a better fan because you're a fan of Tonics, you're not a fan of Keinemusik. I think they each offer different things. Whatever you want from each, whatever you want, you kind of seek it from the either collectives and go from there. But I'm happy they both exist. Honestly, I'm happy. I'm happy you have a 100% independent crew that does really cool parties and has, a cool vibe about them. And you have Keinemusik out here doing amazing glitzy events with AP and doing great collaborations and shit. Doing fucking tunes with Drake and fucking Charlie XCX, like having fucking Lucas Sabat in the DJ booth. Like all this stuff is cool on the other side as well. So I'm all for it. More unity, less separation, please, por favor. Moving on. One Direction star Liam Payne dies after Balcony 4. R.I.P. Liam Payne. R.I.P. Liam Payne. Y'all know my favorite One Direction guy is obviously Harry Styles and probably second Zayn Malik, sorry. I didn't really know what Liam Payne too well. Wasn't really familiar with his solo stuff. Didn't really follow much about him, outside of One Direction. But I had noticed within the last few months, it did seem like he was spiraling. Not gonna lie. I don't know much about the kid, but every time I saw him on my feed, it wasn't good. The first thing I remember seeing was like accusations of him maybe doing some sexual assault things to some ladies and that. I think there was a report, or there might be something that I read where one of the victims allegedly was thinking of writing a book or is in the process of writing a book. There was that story, I think, of his ex-partner. I think it might be the one he had a kid with, or maybe an ex-wife or something. I forgot which one it was. But one of those people that he dated in the past put out a restraining order on him. The other members of the crew weren't really liking him too much, it seemed like. There was those viral clips of him on the red carpet where he was talking to a journalist and he's clearly coked out of his mind. And just other things as well. Whenever I saw him on my timeline, it wasn't good. So when I did see that he passed, I wasn't too surprised, I'm not going to lie. I'm not too sure if you guys had the same reaction, but it didn't really catch me off guard. I wasn't too surprised because it did seem like he was spiraling super hard. But the circumstances of which he died is really tragic. Now there's been more information out there. They're allegedly saying that when he did fall from the balcony on the 3rd floor, that he might have been unconscious or semi-conscious. But I think from the autopsy, they can't find any evidence that he kind of tried to break his fall. Nothing. So he must have been spiraling. Maybe he was in a K-hole, maybe he took too much coke, maybe he did too much MDMA, whatever he was doing, heroin, whatever, and he just kind of fell out from where he was. There was no one else in the room. I think by that time his girlfriend at the time already left to go back home, so he was basically alone, which is always the most tragic part about these stories, when a very popular, famous celebrity, super rich guy, the last moments are usually on your own. And he was in this, like, from the hotel, from what I saw, again, I'm not too familiar with Argentinian hospitality, but the hotel looked like a shithole. I'm not gonna lie, the hotel looked like a fucking shithole. And one of the most famous guys in the world from one of the most popular boy bands in history was staying in this hotel in Argentina, a random one, and he somehow ended up falling out of the falling, off the balcony, and unfortunately passing away. So a real tragic way to go out, like super, super tragic. I can imagine for his family it must be super awful, especially because the news was on social media so fast. The pictures of his body was on social media. People leaking information of like his last moments and what he said and what he was doing, like a ton of stuff that you just want as a family to just keep private and deal with and grieve in your own way. But we all saw it on social media. I legitimately saw his body on fucking Twitter. People were sharing it straight after. Do you know what I mean? Someone took a picture of him, like, lying on the floor and stuff, and taking pictures of the markings on his body and tattoos to clearly show that it was him. And she was like, Jesus Christ, man. Look at where we are in social media. Look at where we are in social media. Like, someone fell out of a window, a celebrity, and the first thing people are doing is taking pictures of it, like full body pictures too. And the picture that I saw too, the really disconcerting thing about it, I think I remember seeing it, he looked like he was asleep. He looked kind of peaceful, I'm not going to lie. He didn't look like he had any anguish on his face. That was a really like jarring thing about it. Like it kind of looked fake in a way, but it was obviously a real picture that was doing the rounds on social. So R.I.P. to Liam Payne. Really sad way to go out, for sure. But again, like it's a miracle that this type of stuff doesn't happen more often. Given how famous he was, you would be led to believe that maybe he was in this situation, maybe he got to this state because of just the inability to cope with his dwindling fame. He was never the most famous person in One Direction anyway, but as they split up and went on to do their own things, he started to become more and more, I'd say, quote unquote, irrelevant. But not to his family and friends, but when it comes to the celebrity side of things, people that weren't really looking for him in that way. So he must have noticed that. So to notice that happening to you in real time and to not be able to do anything really about it must be so difficult, especially when you started off being one of the most famous people in the world. And you have to also imagine how One Direction were put together. They never really earned the right to be famous. They were kind of a manufactured boy band. I forgot the show they were on. Maybe it was X Factor. I forgot what show it was. But the show that they put them together as a boy band, they all basically were trying to make it individually. But then somebody on that show, one of the judges had a brilliant idea to actually make them a boy band instead, and it obviously worked out brilliantly for them. And when it worked out brilliantly for them, they were able to kind of go from being nobodies to being legitimate superstars. And that kind of fame is hard to sort of like step away from. I think for someone like Harry Styles, who's my favorite, I feel like Harry Styles is like, he has maybe a healthy relationship with his level of fame, and he also seems like he's never chasing it. So maybe if for instance Harry Styles dropped a dud of an album and all his fans left and stopped listening to him, I think he'd be perfectly okay with not being famous. But I think certain people, other people in the group, maybe even Zayn Malik is another example. I think Zayn Malik is a good example. He probably looks like a type of person who would probably be okay if fame went away tomorrow. But I think other members of the group probably not so much, And Liam Payne was a good example of it. Like once the fame started to dwindle, like you could see, it was really affecting him, which is understandable too, because that's all you've known. You've gotten a lot out of it. You've grown accustomed to it. But it didn't seem like he adjusted to his decreasing fame over the years. And then, maybe you can blame some of the sexual assault, harassment, fucking accusations, at that inability to cope with that sort of level of fame kind of going away. Who fucking knows? But I'm sure that didn't help. And the internet kind of turned against him. I feel like in the last few months, there was that clip of him. I forgot where did he go to? I think he might have went to the other kid in the group. I think it's Horin. I forgot his name. And I think he went to go see him perform. And he was in the VIP box, being a bit cringy, being a bit embarrassing, saying hi to the fans, dancing, and basically being a bit of an attention seeker. But to me, I just saw somebody that was just like, it was like a cry for help, looking for company, wanting people to kind of recognize him. And I think a girl actually that was in the hotel that he was staying in a couple of days before he passed basically gave a statement or, said something to a journalist about how he was like that in his last moments. Like he was walking around on purpose, trying to be seen, sitting in a hotel lobby on his laptop in clear view of people, hoping to be seen, always dropping the fact that he was in One Direction every time, yeah, it's me, I'm that guy, it's me, I'm the guy, Liam, like that type of stuff, right? So it's kind of funny, but really, really fucking tragic. Really, 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 really fucking tragic. So RIP to Liam Payne. Honestly, RIP to Liam Payne. Let's read the article. It says Liam Payne The former One Direction star died aged 31 in Argentina after falling from the third floor of a hotel in Buenos Aires, police say. In a statement, police said that they discovered Payne's body after an emergency crew responded to a call in the upscale neighborhood of Palermo on Wednesday. On Thursday, police in Buenos Aires said that the preliminary autopsy suggests that Liam Payne died from an external and internal bleeding injuries. Police inspected the area where Payne fell and found items including phone and alcohol in the phone. Medication was found in his room. Payne had risen to global fame as a much-loved boy band created on X Factor in 2010 alongside Harry Styles, Louis Tomlinson, Niall Horan and Zayn Malik. There's the location of the hotel. According to the police in Buenos Aires, officers at the scene were initially reports of an aggressive man who had been under the effects of drugs and alcohol. When they arrived at the hotel, officials were told a loud sound had been heard in the interior courtyard. Soon after, they discovered the body there. A police investigation was then launched. Emergency Medical Services Director Alberto Crescento told local media that Payne had suffered serious injuries and an autopsy will be carried out. Mr. Crescenti declined to answer questions about the circumstances. The star's body has been transferred to a morgue in the city. Third floor, it doesn't seem too high, really. But if you're unconscious and you fall right on your back, just forget even that. Like if you fall over in the kitchen, you bang your head on your fucking, on your counter the wrong way. God forbid it doesn't happen, touch wood, but you could probably RIP yourself in your kitchen if need be. So just imagine falling from the third floor. But the other sad thing as well, they showed pictures of his hotel room and God almighty, man, it looked exactly like the scene that you would see when Whitney he died and the scene that you saw when Amy Winehouse passed away too. It felt like the exact same thing. Just a complete mess. I think the TV had been punched. Clearly, he punched it in a fit of rage. There was loads of foil everywhere. So I'm not sure if that was because he was smoking heroin or crack or something. A bunch of foil. There was a candle in the bathtub, which I'm assuming was probably for the foil, right? Probably didn't have a lighter, so he was using a candle to probably do what needs to be done with it, which is kind of wild, but also makes sense because I remember somebody actually telling me once before that behind the scenes, a bunch of people, celebrities especially, musicians especially, do heroin, which makes sense because there's a bunch of of our legends who unfortunately passed away or had pretty bad heroin addiction. So maybe that was that. I think there was also a box of soap, from a bar of soap, which I think people were suggesting was probably the place that he put stuff in. Allegedly, that's kind of like a thing what people do, take the bar of soap and use the box as a place to kind of stash all your stuff in because no one's going to probably look at that or whatever. So that was really the sad, depressing part of his room, seeing somebody who allegedly, I keep seeing reports, this guy was worth 50 million. I'm not too sure. I'm not sure if that's true. The way he was moving, the places he was staying at, I'm not sure that's the type of person that had that much money. Maybe the money was running out. The fame was obviously dwindling. All his accusations coming up about him. He's also not well liked, especially after that Logan Paul interview. I still remember the reaction to that on social media was so bad. People I felt like turned on him when he went on that interview and kind of was speaking about how important he was and how much of a bigger deal he was compared to all these other bandmates and shit. And he kind of went on a big heel turn that kind of affected his public perception. But I don't know. I think looking at the hotel and how, kind of ghetto and ratchet it looked, and the places he was in and shit, it didn't seem like he was in the best place when it comes to finances and shit. That might have affected his how it ended for him. But R.I.P. Liam Payne. Then also we got this article here courtesy of the BBC. It says Liam Payne's dad greets fans as Cheryl pays tribute. I was actually reminded about this because I honestly had forgotten that Liam Payne dated Cheryl Cole, or they have a kid together. And it reminded me of how different things are. Like the double standards between men and women is pretty interesting, isn't it? Because I'm pretty sure when they got together, he was a teenager. He was a fucking teenager and she might have been like mid-20s. It's pretty wild. Like this woman was like maybe 26. He might have been like 17, 18. And they were legitimately together to the point where they had a kid together. Pretty fucking crazy. So here's her popping up again, trying to give us morality lessons, right? So Cheryl Cole verse on courtesy of Instagram. As I try to navigate this earth-shattering event and work through my own grief at this indescribably painful time, I'd like to kindly remind everyone that we have lost a human being. Liam was not only a pop star and a celebrity, he was a son, a brother, an uncle, a dear friend, and a father to our 7-year-old son. Liam's 31, that kid's 7 years old. You do the math. Or he died at 31, right? You do the math. A son that now has to face the reality of never seeing his father again. What is troubling my spirit the most is that one day Bear will have to access the abhorrent reports and media exploitation we have seen in the past 2 days. It is heartbreaking. It is breaking my heart further that I cannot protect him from this in the future. I am begging you to consider what use some of these reports are serving, other than to cause further harm to everyone left behind picking up the pieces. Before you leave comments or make videos, ask yourself if you would like your own child or family to read them. Please give Liam the little dignity he has left in the wake of his death to rest in some peace at last. Thank you, Cheryl. Now, on paper, what she's saying is true. But unfortunately, the reality of things doesn't work out that way. Liam, unfortunately, towards the end of his career, the end of his time in the limelight, it seemed like he was moving a bit mad. Again, I don't know much about the kid, or just what I saw on social media, but it looked like he was moving a bit mad. And it looked like he might not have done a few things to some ladies. Who knows? But just in terms of his lifestyle and shit, this seemed like the inevitable end, because he went through rehab a couple of times, clearly got himself, on the straight and narrow, sober and shit, but eventually ended up in this spot again. And, unfortunately, these type of things never end well. So more likely than not, if he didn't get his life sorted out, this would have been the eventual end of it anyway. So that's why I say when I saw the news, I wasn't too surprised. And I'm sure some of you guys listening and watching probably weren't too surprised either when you heard the news. But I think, unfortunately, when it comes to these sort of situations, when people pass and everyone's talking about them, this is probably the perfect time to talk about everything, to put everything on the table, not to dismiss something, not to want to have those uncomfortable conversations, because now is the time, because they're in the public conversation. And one of the things you want to talk about is obviously his relationship with Cheryl back in the day, which was pretty crazy, which you would maybe accuse Cheryl of grooming. Maybe it's different when you're a celebrity and you're famous and you're not really your age. You're maybe a little bit more mature, so it's a bit different. It's men and women, blah, blah. But if people are out here kind of throwing accusations of grooming at guys all the time, left and right, I think this is one of the better examples of it, right? Of somebody that was a teenager still figuring out life, dating a 26, 27-year-old. Like, she has no place, like, being in a relationship with somebody that young, but she did it anyway, didn't really give a fuck. And now you're wondering how your kid's going to navigate the world. Like, that's the partner you chose. You chose to get shacked up with a dude who was way younger than you, who had all these demons that he had, went through what he went through. This is kind of what it is. You're not going to be able to protect your kid from knowing or from learning what their dad was like, and what your relationship was like with them. And whatever happened from that, happened from that. But that's what you have to take from it. You can't control that narrative too much in that regard. Should there be an aspect of kind of letting the dead, rest in peace? Yes, probably. But the world we live in at the moment, it's just not going to happen. People are going to, if you're a piece of shit, people are going to take pleasure in your death, and they're going to talk about all the grimy shit you did because they want to sully your name. They don't want anyone to celebrate you in any positive light in the media and in the press, which I can kind of understand too. If they believe that you're a piece of shit, if you harm them in any way, I can understand the get back being, haha, you died, I'm going to talk about all that shit you did, I'm going to sully your name, people are not going to remember you well, they're not going to hold you in high esteem. It kind of is what it is in that regard. So that thing you can kind of understand. But you just got to feel, the thing that I felt the most bad for was just the dad. I'm not going to lie. Every celebrity saying what they're saying is what they're saying, but when you saw the family, you saw the dad walking through. I think that actually this clip actually might play where I think the dad arrives at the hotel and all the kids that are waiting, that are kind of paying doing a visual tribute, whatever, to fucking Liam Payne outside the hotel. They start holding up their bags, their rucksacks to cover the dad, so the press couldn't get clear pictures of him walking in. I thought that was super touching and super kind of them to do so. So when the dad came in, he was like, you know what, this is real. This isn't some joke thing. This is actually a real human. But Cheryl Cole can go jump off a cliff, to be honest. But let's play this clip.
On Friday evening, Liam Payne's father, Jeff Payne, came to visit the hotel where Liam Payne died. He also, after his visit inside the hotel, came outside to where fans have been gathering for days, leaving their tributes, lighting candles, laying flowers, writing messages about Liam, and even singing One Direction songs. There was an emotional moment when he arrived at the hotel, where fans created a barrier between them and some of the cameras that had gathered here at the hotel. That was, of course, after his family had asked for privacy at this time. The same thing happened when his father left the hotel, but at that moment, his father decided to go over to the tree behind me, read some of these messages, even go up to some of the fans who were also emotional and in tears to greet them and share in some of their collective grief over the loss of Liam. Earlier today, his father visited the morgue where Liam's body was transported, which was part of the formal identification process needed to repatriate him back home. Now, this grieving process certainly, of course, is only just beginning for those loved ones of Liam Payne. There's been more tributes pouring in today, and there's certainly more expected over the coming days, as it's expected he'll return home to where his family is and be given a proper send-off.
Absolutely tragic, isn't it? Big up Z, Cheryl groomed him. Big up Fashion Roadman 2, Wagwan G. Cheryl, wasn't she a judge? I don't know. I'm not sure if she was a judge on the year that they got put together, but she was a judge on that show in general anyway. But yeah, madness, man. Cheryl Cole having a kid with Lee. I legitimately forgot about that completely because Cheryl Cole has actually been quite... She hasn't been really... I don't know, maybe because I don't watch TV. Maybe she's been on TV, but I don't feel like I've seen Cheryl Cole around on like... She's not really been, you know, out and about. I think she's kind of been keeping herself to herself. That's why I completely forgot about Liam Payne having a kid with her. Completely forgot about that. Because I also remember, didn't Liam Payne also, didn't he jack, yeah, wasn't he the guy that jacked the girl? I forgot who the guy was. Was it, what's that show? What's that show about the dude that the American dude that has a football team? Wasn't he the guy that broke up that marriage? Or am I mistaken? I think so. I think he might have got that woman to leave the dude that stars in that show. I think so. I think that might have been also the reason why he was in the media. So he hasn't been in the media for good things lately. Do you know what I mean? That's the only sad thing about it. Big up Young Old Vibes. She was on her Brian Callen. Yeah, exactly. She was on her Brian Callen thing. So obviously that was really hard. And then of course we've got some other messages here. Courtesy of the sister. Courtesy of Sky News. It says Liam Payne's sister shares heartbreaking tribute after the star's death. Let's read the sister's tribute here to her bro. This is Liam Payne's sister. I don't believe this is happening. Many times I've poured my heart out publicly with pride about Liam, but never about life as his sister. Liam is my best friend. No one could ever make me laugh as much as him. Doing his impressions always had me creasing, and he loved seeing how much of a laugh he could get. He moved out when he was 17 to chase his dreams. It's this that forced me to finally pass my driving test during the X Factor live show. Weeks because I couldn't stand the thought of not being able to get to him. I would regularly drive to tea with him after he finished work. I just sit around. 1 month, the hotel was right by the Wagamamas, and I swear he had it morning, noon, and night. I used to love picking him up from work when it all started, especially after concerts, speeding us away from venues or appearances. Liam plugging his phone to show me his new songs or albums. Liam loved One Direction. He loved his brothers, and he talked about it so much. He would just play song after song that they had recorded but never used, and we would sit and have a mini One Direction concert. Liam knew that he could call me anytime, any day, and I would pick up, and that I would always fetch him, and he needed just to come home. Our calls would often result in me laughing at his ideas and next adventures, talking through his plans and working through his issues. But it would always end with, I love you, miss you, love you. Liam was born with music in his veins. It was clear from a very young age. He just had the quality that would make him a star. I could sit and listen to him sing all day, which is a good job because he never bloody stopped. I've never tired of the look he gave me. When he was listening to his new songs, listen loud, he would say, and just grin with pride of his work. I keep notes on my phone, things to tell Liam, so that if he was away working for a while, I'd know what needed to update him on. I suppose it's only right that I tell him now. Liam, my brain is struggling to catch up with what's happening, and I don't understand where you've gone. Just want to drive to your house and walk into the music blasting and find you sat there writing a song. What I love most about you is your ability to make me laugh. I never chuckle as much as I do when I'm with you and anyone else. I'm always in awe of your talent. It should be illegal to be so talented and just have the ability to be able to not only be good at things, but be bloody great at everything you attempt. I love your kindness and how proud I am to call you my brother and my best friend. You also make a great Sunday dinner too. I don't feel this world was good enough or kind enough to you. And quite often over the years, the last few years, you've had to really try hard to overcome all that has been aimed at you. Thank you for changing my life. Thank you for the incredible memories. Thank you for being a best brother and a friend I've ever have. Will take care of Bear, and you always know how incredible his dad was and how much you idolized him. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I love you. Oh, how my heart misses you. One last time, I need you to know I'm here if you need anything. I drive to the end of the universe to bring you back. Jesus Christ, man. That's heartbreaking, isn't it? Liam Payne's sister. Absolutely heartbreaking. And some pictures, of course, that she's showing that she had as well. Jesus Christos. So yeah, that's when you see it's real. You know what I mean? That's when you see it. When people talk about somebody online as just like a figment, you know, it's one thing, but when the family steps out, it's one thing. But you also get the tone. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. You also get the tone from Cheryl Cole's statement, the sister. You just get the feeling like even his closest friends knew he was, you know, going down a dark path, unfortunately. And unfortunately, these type of situations, when people are being so self-destructive, you know, there is nothing you can do to stop it. You kind of have to let it play out and then just be there, hopefully, to pick up the pieces. Unfortunately, in this situation, there was no picking up the pieces, then it was fatal. So RIP to Liam Payne. And then the last thing I was going to say was a Zayn Malik statement, because this kind of touched me because of the situation I went through with my friend Joshua, unfortunately passing away last year. RIP to Josh. And, you know, not being able to kind of grieve that in a correct way, unfortunately for myself, because of the state our relationship was at the time of his passing. So this statement, courtesy of Zayn, I think kind of echoes some of the feelings that I had. So this is Zayn Malik posting his statement on Instagram. He says, Liam, I found myself talking out loud to you, hoping you can hear me. I can't help but think selfishly that there were so many conversations for us to have in our lives. I never got to thank you for supporting me through some of the most difficult times in my life. When I was missing home at 17 years old, you would always be there with a positive outlook and reassuring smile. Let me know you were my friend and that I was loved. And even, hold on, let me just refresh that because I can't see the other side of it. Bear with me 1 second here. Let's get it back on the screen. There we go. And even though you were younger than me, you were always more sensible than me. You were headstrong, opinionated, and gave no fucks about telling people when they were wrong. Even though we butted heads because of this a few times, I always secretly respected you for it. When it came to the music, Liam, you were one of the most qualified in every sense. I knew nothing in comparison. I was a novice child with no experience, and you were already a professional. I was always happy to know no matter what happened on stage, we could always rely on you to know which way to steer the ship next. I lost a brother when you left us, and I can't explain to you what I'd give to give you a hug one last time and say goodbye to you properly and tell you that I love you and respected you dearly. I will cherish all the memories I have of you in my heart forever. There is no words that should justify or explain how I feel right now other than beyond devastated. I hope that wherever you are right now, you are good and at peace, and you know how loved you are. Love you, bro. Which is always a tough part. Whenever you are, you know, whenever somebody passes that you weren't really on good terms with, it's always really difficult. It must be kind of hard to kind of process and to figure out, you know, what the right words to say are. But one thing that you do realize is that you probably should have kind of made amends when they were around, you know, and probably especially if it wasn't that deep. If it was never that deep and the beef was never really, you know, something to really trouble yourself over, you probably should have made that effort to kind of fix it. And I think sometimes, even though this can be brutal and it can feel awful, I'm sure Zayn does probably feel quite bad about the whole situation. It's also a really good way to learn not to repeat the same mistakes and to make sure that if you are going through a tough patch with a friend, just to try and mend stuff as much as possible, because you're aware that this person is going to be around forever and there's no guarantees of tomorrow. So if you're with them now and you can see them now and you can quickly text them and call them and mend things and make things okay, make sure you do, because that's one thing that I sitting here can say that I generally regret when it comes to Joshua. You know, I should have kind of made an effort to sort of say something, because I'm sure, like, you know, we were friends since we were like fucking 18. Do you know what I mean? That was one of my first sort of like scene friends that I met. And we were always cool for a long time, and then just I don't know what happened, but something happened where it kind of felt like we fell out and weren't talking and weren't really on good terms. But then I always just thought, okay, we're gonna mend it anyway because we'll bump into each other at one point and it'll be cool. But it never happened. And of course, as soon as I kind of, you know, the real tragic part about Joshua Sweeney's passing, RIP to him, was that I'm pretty sure when I got the text that he was ill, I think the week after he passed, or the week, you know, like maybe even 5 days after I got the text that Josh was ill, he passed away straight away. And I'm assuming, most likely, because I've heard it after the fact now, a lot of my friends telling me now that he hadn't told anybody anyway. So the way I found out is the way that everybody found out. He wanted to keep that private. He didn't want to, you know, everybody to be aware of his condition and shit, which I completely respect. But it just would have been kind of, you know, it would have been nice to have kind of mended things, obviously, in that respect. But I think that kind of harsh lesson is good for myself and others to learn, so that you don't make that mistake again. So that next time, you know, you don't miss a funeral, you don't fucking, you know, not mend things with friends, because you never are guaranteed that you're going to see them ever again. So RIP to Liam Payne, RIP to Joshua Sweeney, RIP to all of those we've lost this past year. It feels like, you know, it's been non-stop fucking losses actually this past year. And if you do, you know, have somebody in your life that you're probably not on good terms with, I recommend trying to mend that relationship as soon as possible and trying to get back on good terms, especially if there's no real static, if there's no real beef, no real static, no blood has been spilled. You should be trying to make amends. And even if there is blood being spilled, life is too short. Try and make amends as much as possible and continue going on that way. That's my advice. But again, what do I know? I know absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. What are you guys saying here in the stream chat? Let me quickly see. What are you guys saying here? Big up Netwatcher. Mad thing what makes stories like this more tragic is that you would think with all the money as such that he would have the means to get help with proper professionals and such. Crazy that another celeb has died this way. It's only other we can mention yourself. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing I'm starting to realize, because I always talk about the whole poverty thing, right, and growing up poor thing, and I know people get bored of it on this particular pod. I understand, but it fascinates me because I always felt like my upbringing kind of damaged me and scarred me and kind of probably affected me greatly. But because I'm a man and I don't seek help that way in terms of therapy and shit, I will never really truly understand the depths of it. But, you know, I'm aware that growing up sort of like, you know, sometimes your power being cut off and you're having to fucking do your homework sitting by a candle, it's going to affect the way you kind of see yourself, you know, and the way you kind of treat money, the way you treat your career. All this sort of things are going to be, it's going to leave a lot of you know, it's a traumatic thing. It's gonna do something to you. But something that I've also kind of realized too, the older that I've got, is that success and fame also can be its own little golden prison as well, in a way. And sometimes I think to myself, it might be actually beneficial to grow up poor and know your place, because that's kind of what it is. When you grow up in poverty, you almost know your place. There is no like lying, you know, you're poor, you know what you have, you know what you don't have, you know what you can afford, you can't afford. There is no kind of like gray area. It just is what it is. But I think when you've had fame, like, I don't think there's anything that comes close. When you imagine being as famous as Liam Payne was when he was in One Direction at his peak. I didn't really listen to One Direction, not really my type of thing, but just imagine what that must have felt like being 17. And I think One Direction split when they were probably like what, mid-20s. So you were able to be like, imagine what life was like being a 17-year-old to 25-year-old in a boy band, one of the best-selling boy bands of all time, traveling the world, having all these things thrown at you, money, fame, girls, whatever it may be. And then for all that to go away. And it also went away in the really harshest way possible, because it felt like it went away for some of them, but for others it didn't. So Zayn kind of like purposely, I think, took a break, and I think the others kind of pursued their own solo careers to varying levels of like fame and success, but they're all doing their thing. So it felt like Liam was the only one who wasn't able to do his thing to the level that his former boy band mates were doing it. That's brutal. I think it's better to just be broke. I think it's better to just be not famous than to have that level of fame. You break up, everyone's doing their thing, and then you can't keep up with them, and it kind of goes away. And you're seen as the troubled one. You're seen as the loser, bum, whatever, clout chasing, attention seeker, whatever. You're seen as just the other. You know what I mean? That kind of vibe. It must be awful. It must be fucking awful. So I can't imagine psychologically what he was going through and how that was difficult to deal with. Obviously that doesn't excuse his behavior and what he might have done and shit, you know, who knows, which I'm also curious to see what happens. I'm sure it's still like, if that book is in the process of being written, or it's already, you know, maybe the process of being published, I wonder what the reception would be about the book. If that book comes out and kind of details, oh, Liam Payne guy that you know and love wasn't the guy that you know and love, he was actually quite dark, he did this, I wonder how people are going to react to it. Will they say it's like classless, tasteless, or will they want to be hungry to devour it to learn more about him? I don't really know, but I can just imagine. I can only imagine what that must have been like. So going through that, obviously having your addiction issues as well, it just must be super difficult to deal with. So, you know, my heart kind of goes out to him. I'm not gonna lie. And the more I've kind of, you know, understood how this kind of media celebrity world landscape moves and shit, I can only imagine how difficult that must have been to deal with, like seeing the dwindling people surrounding you and all that shit. Like, I don't know, man. It must be fucking crazy. A big up Eduardo Madeira, RP Chino XL. He motivated me to go with feel like the hotel workers are in on this. Really? Nah, I'm not going to put big up Netwatcher. I feel like the hotel workers are in on this and got his and got. Nah, I wouldn't put in the hotel workers, man. Nah. They're doing their job, man. They're doing their job. It's up to you to be responsible. Let's all take personal responsibility for our actions, please. Let's not do the thing where we blame others for the things that we did or didn't do. Like, let's not do that. Let's not be those people. Let's be people who take accountability for our actions, for better or worse, and we kind of go from there. But let's not be people who like, oh no, this person did this thing to me and that's why I ended up like this. Like, no. He was a grown-ass man. He had these issues already, and he was still, you know, out here doing what he was doing, allegedly drugs, drinking, who knows, knowing how fragile he was anyway, you know, crying out for help or wanting the pain to stop as well. That could be possible. Maybe he put himself in that position because he just wanted it to be over. You know, he didn't want to be alive anymore. That could be entirely possible. Who fucking knows? But I don't think we can blame the hotel workers, to be honest, especially if you're famous too. Like, you know, you get everything given to you anyway. You know what I mean? So it's like, you have to have a bit of personal responsibility or accountability when it comes to those type of things. Big up Ruby. What's that? Ruby D Doom. Ruby, or just say Ruby. Big up Ruby. We are non-famous people who have no idea what it's like to experience that psychological effects it has on somebody, and then substance addiction. That's what I said. Exactly. Big up Ruby. Exactly. And then substance addiction is a monstrous beast. Exactly. Addiction is already hard when you're a regular person. Imagine when you're imagine when you are super famous, superstar famous, and then you're not so superstar famous anymore, and you're dealing with that, and you got addiction issues. God almighty. Big up Fashion Road, man. I'd hate to be famous, not gonna lie. Can't do anything in peace. Yeah. There's like, especially in your like field, right? Especially in that fashion field, right? Like just being a content creator in general. Sometimes you think to yourself, I wish I could be more famous. I wish I could have more views. But it's like, do you really want that? Are you sure you want that? Because with that, nothing comes for free. You're gonna pay a price. You're gonna have to pay some sort of price for that extra eyes, those extra views, the extra attention. There's gonna come other demands on you that you're probably not gonna be equipped for or ready for to handle in any shape or form. So you have to be careful what you wish for. 100% be careful what you wish for. But in Liam Payne's case as well, what's sad about it is that probably, you know, obviously music was his passion, but he probably really fell in love with the fame side of it. Like, you could tell he enjoyed being famous more so than any other person in that group, which is weird because the other guys probably, you would say, are probably way more talented than him. But he really enjoyed being famous. He really enjoyed being a showman. He really enjoyed being on stage, having people look at him and shit. So to go from that to, like, you know, dancing in the VIP booth of your other former bandmates selling out a show, that's a fucking ego death that I don't ever want to experience. Anyway, talking about personal responsibility and talking about accountability, can we talk about this, please? Can we talk about this on the subject of accountability and responsibility? This particular video has gone viral on my side of social media, and I'm having a hard time with some of the replies because some of the replies have been really pissing me off. And I'm going to play it for you here because I think you guys need to see this. So this particular young lady, as you can see, courtesy of this video, she's crying. She's crying because she shared this video, really heartbreaking, don't get me wrong, on TikTok. It's her basically detailing what happened when her and her boyfriend broke up after 3 years. And it's a really heartbreaking story, very heartbreaking story. But I feel like the reaction to it online has been really frustrating to me because there's a lack of responsibility and accountability that people are having in this particular issue, and obviously the role that friends and shit play in it. So let me play this video for you so you can see what I go on. But this is a really funny one. Obviously, I'll put the link in the video as well in the description later for you to check out as well. Let's play it.
Imagine you live in LA with your boyfriend and everything's going amazing till he says, babe, I want to move back to Texas to be closer to my dad. So you give up half of your career. Quit your improv troupe and have a goodbye party. Take off months of work, deplete your savings to pay for
God bless her.
movers, and drive to Texas.
bless her.
It's so worth it for the love of your life that wants a future with you because he said so. So you spend a month waiting for your shit to arrive, and then another month moving in and building furniture and stuff, and you're so happy till he comes back from a family vacation, sits on your couch, which just arrived in the mail, and hands you a note that says we have nothing in common.
Jesus
We're
Christ.
incompatible. Oh no. How did I not know this? This whole time, 3.5 years of happiness, we've been incompatible this whole time, and that we had nothing in common for 3.5 years. How did I not notice? Wow, what a surprise! Thank you for informing me. This whole time we had nothing in common. So you back up your car whenever you can fit it. Just getting your grind too hard, so we have to back it for you, and then you drive to Florida to live with your mom.
Yo, this girl deserves a fucking award to live with your mum. Do you know how heartbreaking that must be? The story started off with these star-crossed lovers deciding to move, or the guy decides, I want to move back home to live closer to my family. You pick up all your stuff, you move, you find a new job out there, you start having, good couple time, you think you're going to have a life together. Because I think in a woman's brain, if a guy, let me give my impression first of all. My impression first of all in the video is obviously very well done, really heartbreaking song, but also really good in some ways. And that also is a sign to you why some of us, myself included, you sometimes cheer for the failure of your favorite artist relationship, because it's going to bring about some of the best music ever. Like, that song came from a real place and you fucking felt it with every fiber of your being. But let's be real, the girl here is to blame. She's the dummy here. She's the real dummy. Yes, the guy's a super duper super turbo coward, we know that, but somebody has to be a coward in a relationship, right? Very rarely do two people own up to the fact that, this is not working, we're going to split in amicable terms. It's usually one person being cowardly and one person wanting answers, and then you obviously end up breaking up. In this respect, I think the girl was a bit dumb. The moment that guy said, when he came back from a holiday, like he got the clarity that he needed to kind of move back home, no way you should have picked up your entire life and moved back with him. You should have at the very least tried to do the long distance relationship thing for a few months, maybe a year, and see how that panned out, instead of moving your entire life there. Because what's to say that you were gonna find what you were looking for your life in where that guy wants to go, following somebody, just like it. Those type of things that you should decide together as a couple. You decide together as a couple to start a family, to maybe, buy a new house, move to a new area, whatever it may be. But one person deciding, I want to go here, and you just blindly following them, recipe for disaster. I don't believe what people are saying on social now. Oh, how could you go and move to another state for another man you only date for 3 years? I don't think it's a issue of like how long they've been dating, because I think that's an arbitrary number. What is a high enough? How many years does it make sense for you to drop everything to move with somebody somewhere else? There's no sense. Whether you're dating somebody 10 years, 20 years, 2 years, to just drop everything you're doing to follow somebody is fucking insane. Try the long distance thing first. If that doesn't work, cool, move away. It's almost similar to like when you're in college. When you're in like secondary school, about to go to uni, and you got a girlfriend or a boyfriend and they move somewhere, you don't follow them to their uni. You just try and make the long distance thing work, and usually it doesn't work 9 times out of 10, and then you end up breaking up. But if you can make it work long distance, while your girlfriend is, getting fucking chased around the campus by hungry wolves in Nottingham somewhere, if you can make that work, then most likely you guys are going to survive the long term. But to pick up your entire life and go to another state, complete and absolute utter L in that regard. But it also shows how real shit gets. And sometimes in this type of situations, love just blinds you to reason. Because I'm sure this girl isn't dumb. I'm sure she's a smart girl. I'm sure she's probably very sensible in other parts of her life. But sometimes, some of us, when it comes to love or when it comes to relationships, we just have a blind spot. Reason and rationality goes out the window. Your girl tells you to jump, you say how high. You know what I mean? Or you just jump. You don't even you don't do anything else. So I think in this particular situation, she can't be blamed for just following her heart. But I think you have to take personal accountability and say, even though the guy was cowardly, even though he didn't say what he should have said when he came back from the, because that was the first red flag, right? The first red flag is when he came back from that trip and had like other visions of how his life is going to look. I think in the song she says he went to a family holiday. He came back home and suddenly he's like, oh, I want to live closer to my family. That should have been the biggest red flag. That should have been the biggest red flag, that he didn't want to be with you because most likely he was looking to be closer to home, so that if he did move, so if he did break up, he wouldn't have much to travel, which is a really scumbag thing to do, right? The real scumbag thing that he did was that he broke up with this girl after he came back from a holiday with his parents or his family and realized that she wasn't the one for him. But then he also made her move with him closer to his parents so that when they did break up, he wouldn't have far to travel. He could just like, you know, walk around the corner and go back home if need be. That's a real scumbag thing to do. But God almighty, man. God almighty. God almighty. To start off that story the way he did, being super duper in love, and then to go to a point where you're driving back with your car full of fucking, you know, full of all your belongings with your dog, crying on the highway, just crying. Like, I think there's a scene in the video where she's just crying into the air, like, which that's the most heartbreaking thing to me. Where's that? I think there's a bit in the video here. Where is it? Where she's just crying, staring, like there, this one. Like, could you imagine the pain she's going through right here? She's in her car, just like with all her belongings in it, just crying, sobbing into the air. Cars are probably speeding past her, looking, thinking, "Ah, I've been there." You know, they know exactly what's going on. A woman sees you, she's driving past, she's like, "Yep, I know. It's gonna fucking hurt, but you have to fucking get it out." She's just on the highway, just fucking sobbing uncontrollably. Yeah, exactly. While filming, exactly. Yeah. I personally don't understand the need that people have to film themselves crying anyway. I think it's very, very, I think it's a form of mental illness. I've always said it. I think it's really, really insane. But you know, people do what they gotta do. There's a bit here in the clip where it says she split up with her. So she was part of a you quit your improv comedy troupe and say goodbye. You know what people are saying on social media? They're like, oh, she should have never quit her improv comedy troupe, because most likely her friends in that improv troupe would have told her, hey, you're making a big mistake. Don't do this for another man. That's not true. That's not true. If any of you guys know of people, family or friends, who have been in toxic relationships, or who you've known have been in relationships that are clearly not going anywhere, because I think that's way worse. It's one thing for you to be a friend of somebody who's in a relationship where it's toxic and it might be violent or whatever, but it's way more heartbreaking when you know your friend's relationship isn't going to last, but they think it is. It's like, oh, because you just have to let them go through it. You can't say anything that's going to make them see reason or it's going to make them see sense. They have to go through the heartbreak. And I think in this particular case, even if she did stay in her comedy improv troupe and hang out with her friends, I'm sure somebody in that group would have been like, what? He wants you to move where? They would have been able to say, like, hey, that's not a good idea. Don't do it. And most likely in that situation, I've been in situations like that, when you advise somebody about their relationship, more often than not, they're going to take it personally. They won't take it well. And in some cases, if you press on about it too much, they'll end up doubling and tripling down. And in worst cases, they'll end up cutting you off. They might stop talking to you about their relationship because they don't want you to give them unsolicited advice. They want you to just sit there and listen to their problems, but they don't want you to give them advice or solutions. So you're better off, if you're a friend of somebody, which is really hard to do, you're better off just leaving them to go through what they're going through, make the mistake or not, and then whatever happens, you should be there to pick up the pieces. That actually is what a friend is. A friend is just there to pick up the pieces. You can't prevent it, especially when it's love. You can't prevent this from happening. She was going to make this mistake regardless. If this guy was 10-year relationship, 5-year relationship, it wouldn't have mattered. She was going to make that mistake. It's just very, very cowardly of the guy to not have told her before, because clearly he had that idea of breaking up with her after he came back from that family holiday and said he wanted to move back closer home. He should have told her from there. He should have told her from there, hey, I'm thinking of moving back, but I'm not really too sure about a relationship. Let's figure something out and go from there. And then through the conversation, they would be able to talk, and it would have made the breakup easier too, because he's already thinking of moving back home anyway. Because I'm sure that would have been an awkward thing, right? I'm thinking of moving back home. And she's like, oh, I'll come. That must have been hard, because how do you tell her no? You know, because if you tell her no, that's, you know, admitting that you want to break up, but you don't really want to break up, or no, you're afraid to say you want to break up. So you kind of just let it, you know, play out, and you kind of, you know, the relationship ends up dying a death of 1,000 cuts. But Jesus Christ, man, what a completely heartbreaking video. But again, goes to show the lack of accountability from some women online is fucking staggering. The things I've seen online, people making all sorts of excuses for her. It's like, bro, she was blindly in love. We've all been there sometimes. She made the wrong move, and she's paid the price for it. But I don't, as much as the guy was in the wrong, this girl was definitely in the wrong. Like, why would you pick up your entire life and move it to a different state for somebody? Like, it makes absolutely no sense. Like, oh, did you actually say everyone's going amazing? Okay, cool. This is even worse. Everyone was going amazing. So I've even got the order of the things wrong. They were fine. Then one day he said, I want to move back home to my parents. She should have grilled him more on that. Hey, why do you want to move back closer to your parents? Why is it, please? Could you maybe, expound on that a little bit more? Could we talk about that a little bit more? Why do you want to move back closer to that area? Then through that conversation, they would have found out. Because I've got it the other way around. I thought they, he came up for holiday and he got that brainwave. No. Then, when he came up for holiday, that's when he said what he said. And I love that he wrote her a note. I love that he couldn't even say what the reason was. He had to write a note. He didn't even have the guts. He didn't even have the balls to face her face to face and say, this is why I want to break up. He had to write a fucking note. And I bet he wasn't in the house when she read it too. I bet he put it in an envelope somewhere and he left the house and he came back super late or not at all and let her read it on her own. Absolute piece of shit. It's like guys who decide to break up with girls and take them on dinner. You heard those stories, isn't it, right? Of guys that invite girls out for dinner and say, yeah, I want to break up over some hamburgers and shit. It's like, bruh, you could have probably picked a better place to go and fucking end the thing situation. But, at least now it's over. But yeah, that scene where she's driving her car, just sobbing, it makes me laugh so fucking much, man. It makes me laugh so fucking much. But yeah, what are you going to do? What you gonna do? Breakups are difficult. What you say here? Big up Shades Cow. I bet she manipulated herself into moving in with him. He didn't want to be with her. Yeah, exactly. But I don't believe that's fair as well on her. I think if he didn't want her to move with him in a new location, she should have said, what's she gonna say? Of course she's gonna be excited. Oh, I want to move here. Oh, that sounds amazing. Because to some people, if you say you want to move somewhere, it sounds like you're like ambitious, like you have plans for the future. Like, if, I want to move to this place, she's going to think, oh shit, that also bodes well for me because that means this guy's thinking of the future. So he should have been clear about what he wanted to do, but he wasn't, and she paid the price. Big up Z. People in toxic relationships don't want to hear exactly, don't want to hear it anyway. Exactly. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. Especially ones who are in like relationship where there's domestic violence involved. Like, they clearly don't want to hear it. They know it's bad. They just can't quit. Even quitting a job is wild. Exactly. How can you listen to the woman's side of the story and think even half of it is true? Shades Cow. Yeah, but this is all we have to go by. Do you know what I mean? So we go by what we go by when it comes to her. I don't think anyone said we think it's true. Obviously, I've made my points as to why I think she's in the wrong. But I think in relationship, as most of you would agree, it takes two to tango, and it's usually never like one person's fault completely. But I think in this particular situations, both people are to blame. But I think she's the most to blame because she's the one that blindly believed that, they were going to make a new life for themselves in this new place when clearly he was trying to get away from her. Big up Fashion Roadman. It's hard. I tried to break up with somebody constantly for a year. Some people refuse to let it end. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Trying to break up with somebody for a year is fucking crazy. If that was me, I'd just change my number, man. I just change my number and go fucking ghost. Eventually, people get the message. If you're direct enough, they should get the message. If they don't, But it also makes sense why they don't. If they're in love with you, it's hard to kind of break that. That makes sense. It would be nice if there was more amicable breakups. There's not. You probably have way more amicable friendship breakups than you do relationship breakups. Weird, isn't it? Weird. Very, very. Even though I think friendship breakups hurt way more than relationship breakups for me. Somebody saying I don't want to be your friend stings way more than somebody saying I don't want to be your boyfriend or girlfriend. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority, but I honestly do think so. But like that rejection of somebody saying, hey, I don't want to hang out with you anymore platonically as a friend, nothing hurts more than that. Nothing hurts more than that. Maybe not even getting fired. Like, you can get fired for dumb reasons. You can rationalize in your brain that you were never the problem. Relationships, same way. But somebody saying, hey, I was your friend before, I don't want to be your friend now. that hits different. That hits different, especially when they're clear. Not ghosting you, when they're clear and saying, "Hey, stop texting me. I don't want to hang out with you." Like, ouch. Big up Koila. I bet no. I bet what's your pre-restraining order? At least they didn't have. Yeah, at least they didn't have kids. Oh yeah, if they have kids, she'd be a deadbeat dad. He said, "I want to move." Exactly, not she. Yeah, exactly. Z. Exactly. Big up Z there. I didn't spot that. He said, "I want to move," not "we should move." Big good point there. Good point. Very good point. But there's also guys who need like encouragement. I've known of dudes who like maybe wouldn't say "we" and say "I," but then when you tag along, they'll realize how much they love you and then make something of it. You know, some guys also just need that encouragement. So I get why some girls just tag along, because you never know. You know. He might figure out he loves you and you're the love of his life and he wants to spend the rest of his life with you in the process of you kind of figuring out your life in your location. And considering what we see on these dating shows, it looks like the dating world out there is pretty rough. So I understand why some girls would rather take a chance to look like an idiot by betting on the person they're with and going all chips in, even if they're going to end up getting embarrassed and heartbroken, than saying, "Oh, I'm going to end it and go and look for somebody else outside," because it seems like, from what I've seen from people's, reports and shit and what you see on dating shows, it seems like the streets aren't streeting, but I could be wrong here. Also, I'm so happy that when I'm crying and sobbing, my instinct is not to turn on my camera. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it, man. If there was if you're on stream and you start crying over a story you read, that's one thing. But there are people that are like turning on their camera with the intention of crying, or they're already crying and then they're turning on their camera. It's like, the last thing I want to do when I don't know what, it's been a while since I've cried, but sometimes when I'm crying, you get a headache, you get really sad. You just want to go under your duvet and disappear for a while. You don't want to be on your phone reading comments on that. It's so, I don't know, the function of it is bizarre. Honestly, I find it one of the most bizarrest things in the world. I've never understood the conviction to cry in front of a camera. I've actually seen videos recently of Dua Lipa doing it. She's allegedly known for crying on live stream. I'm like, babe, what are you doing? What are you doing, Dua Lipa? It's never that serious, especially you. What are you doing? Why would you be crying on live stream? Mean comments. Someone didn't like your album or your outfit. Really? Big up Fashion Romance. She would turn up everywhere. She knew I would be. It was peak. I'd love to have a stalker, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'd love to have a fucking stalker. Go live every time she pops up. It would be so fucking funny. Make her part of the fucking. Obviously, I'm saying it now. It won't be funny when they fucking burst into your drum or sneak into your window and fucking stab you with a fucking hunted knife in your earlobe repeatedly. But I would love it just for the bands, just for the live streams, just for the fucking engagement and the fucking social media content. I would love it. Seriously, I think my worst breakup was just saying, "Hey, I'm good." Yeah, exactly. Big up. This is quite exactly. My worst breakup is who was saying I'm good. Yeah, that hurts. Exactly. I'm good. I'm good on this. I'm over it. Oh my god, man. So big up this girl. Hopefully she figures it out. We can only hope. We can only hope. On the subject of figuring things out, can we talk a little bit about this? Big up Corteiz. This is what I wanted to talk about. So this is courtesy of the thumbnail. So big up Corteiz. So as you guys know, Corteiz and Palace have been having a bit of a beef on social media. Corteiz decided to get into the comments on here on Twitter regarding Palace's drop of this particular Brazil-inspired tracksuit. Now, on the face of it, to me, in my opinion, let me just tell you the overview. So Palace posted this picture of this Brazil national kit inspired tracksuit that they were dropping. It was posted on the Versus account, and then Clint, who's the founder of Corteiz, quoted it and said "Gringo Safado," right? Taking the piss, blah 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 blah. And obviously, when I saw the tracksuit, honestly, when I just saw it itself separately, I didn't think of Corteiz. I'm not gonna lie. I immediately thought, oh, what a genius idea. To take that kit and turn it into a tracksuit is brilliant, because I don't even think now. Back in the day, that was a thing when Nike would make kits. The tracksuits look kind of similar. Nowadays, I feel like training kits are not similar to like the kits themselves, which is quite cool. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think of the first thing that comes to mind is like Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich have some really amazing training kits and really cool jerseys that the match day kits that the players wear. But I thought the idea of taking a very iconic kit, obviously the one that we know R9 for, especially with the iconic haircut from that particular World Cup, to turn that into a tracksuit is a real genius idea. And they've got it available in the black. They've also got it available in black, blue. I think the home and away colors was the yellow and the blue, and then the additional colors that they added is this black and white and this sort of like gray and green color. So I actually liked it. I thought it looked pretty cool. If anything, I thought the pictures here that features what's his name, Lucian Clark, the professional skater that was also part of the Palace team. The first thing I thought about was like, oh shit, what's happened to Lucian? He looks pretty fucked. Because I thought, shit, he's wearing a headband and his head is too skinny for the headband. I was wondering, like, what's going on? Or has he just always been this way? I don't know, because I haven't seen his face in a long time. I don't really keep up to date too much with what Palace is doing or what he's doing, even though I think I saw a pair of shoes he put out recently that looked pretty sick for DC. But the first thing I thought when I saw this picture, I was like, shit, well, how's his head too skinny for a headband? But maybe I thought, hold on, maybe I've got a really abnormal sized big head. I don't know. Either way, the tracksuit is fucking hard. I think so personally. It's got a little flip of the Brazil logo here with Palace. It's got the Palace number 9 there, obviously of R9. So again, I think as a design concept idea, excellent execution, taking a match day kit and turning it into a tracksuit, amazing. But then of course, when I saw Clint post what he posted, it made me think, because he's known for doing loads of like Brazil inspired pieces for his brand Corteiz, it makes sense why he would think this was jacked or this was kind of like a copy thing, because that's what he does, right? And he's obviously, his brand's known for doing really cool tracksuits in general, but mostly I'd say for that Brazil thing, because he kind of goes out there a lot and he seems like he kind of loves the country, the players. Maybe it's more to do with the football side of things, but it seems like he loves the country and shit. Maybe he speaks a bit of Portuguese, I don't really know. But this kind of turned into a little bit of a beef. And obviously, because I'm a bit biased in this, because I fucking hate Palace and everything about it. So obviously when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's pretty sick. But it was also a bit like, really? Let's be real. It's a fucking tracksuit. It's not that deep. And if anything, like I said, I think the Palace one is designed in a way where I don't think I would ever mistaken it for Corteiz. And the thing that Corteiz do, I don't think Palace would ever make. I think even though they kind of occupy the same space, streetwear type of thing, I think they both do very different things in a way. I think Palace's version of streetwear is kind of done through a very white lens, and I think Clint's Corteiz is done through a very black lens in a way. I think so. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's quite good that they're coexisting and doing a thing. If anything, it's probably a compliment to Corteiz that people maybe see his brand the same way they see Palace, because Palace they've been around for ages. So to be seen in that same sort of light, or to even could be compared to them, is probably a lot of like, it should probably be a good thing, because it shows that you're kind of doing bits and going places. Anyway, that's what happened to start the beef. And obviously to escalate it, Corteiz decided to put out their own flip on that particular Brazil-inspired tracksuit, and they did their own version. This is courtesy of the official account. I think it's probably sold out by now, because they usually do only like couple of day drops, right? So the caption says, Brazil Olympic Shuku reload, Friday 11 London time, ships within 1 working day, free worldwide shipping, code Gringo v Gringo, which is quite funny. Obviously you got their Corteiz Reviews of the World, and what they did, which is quite funny and quite cool, is I guess they photoshopped Lucian's head onto a model wearing their tracksuit that they've designed, the Brazil inspired tracksuit, which maybe might be inspired by an actual Brazil training tracksuit, and they've obviously did the flip on that and put that out there available to purchase. And maybe there's a headband there too. I didn't realize even the headband has got the Corteiz branding on it too. So a really good Photoshop job. Big up the people that are involved there by putting Lucian's head on that particular tracksuit, which is quite nice as well in its own regard. I still think the Palace one's nicer. If I was going to be objective, even though I'm biased and I hate Palace, I would say the Palace one's still nicer, I think, than what they've done. But I still think they offer different things. So I'm not mad at either one. It comes with a different tracked top. You've got one in black and grey, and you've also got one available in white and black with the matching Corteiz pants. But the thing that I love the most is the t-shirt. Taking that Tri-Feg logo thing and just playing Corteiz on it is chef's kiss. I fucking love it. I love it. The really mad thing about it though is that I think what's that count? I think it might be in Stay Grounded, had found a post of the guy Clint who founded Corteiz, making a very glowing tribute to the person who founded Palace. So as much as smoke as he's talking about Palace, it seemed like there was a time where he was kind of, idolizing and kind of fanning out on what Palace do and shit. So this is a post there, as you can see him kind of, Palace are pioneering a tracksuit design, and he posted that in 2016. So there was a time where Clinton was really kind of idolizing and looking up at Palace. But now, of course, things have kind of changed, and he's doing his own thing now at the moment. So big up what he's doing. I have to say, overall, I think streetwear beef in general is really lame. I'm not gonna lie. I'm with it just to kind of banter and look for it from the outside in. But I think this whole tendency people have to kind of hold on to ideas and think that they're the only ones that can do certain things, and tracksuits are my thing, you can't do this thing, Brazil things is my. It's like, I find that whole thing fucking lame and really, really redacted, in my personal opinion. I think there's no new idea under the sun. This kit's been inspired, this tracksuit's been inspired by an iconic kit. The iconic kit was inspired by something else. You're meant to take whatever's been made previously and reinterpret it. There's that famous saying of, copying basically until you find an original idea. And that's how most creativity is born from anyway. I know for me, when I was studying art and shit back in the day, most of the time, you would just be copying, famous artworks and just kind of doing your interpretation of it until you eventually found your own way, until you eventually found your own practice. And that's what happens with fashion as well. There's very few people who are able to come about who have completely original ideas and are able to kind of, manifest those and put those out into the universe without any kind of, input from anywhere else. And even then you can't say that, because you never know how, things that you've watched, even in passing, are going to influence the things that you've done. So there is no kind of claim onto these ideas and shit, and there is no kind of no sharing the codes or whatnot, or just being influenced by other things. So if anything, I think this is good for the customer, because what you get in the end of it is you get two brands competing at that level to make the hardest tracksuits out. And if you're into that sort of piece of clothing, you're always going to get really hard stuff regardless if the founders themselves don't see eye to eye with themselves. You know what I mean? I think that's a good thing personally going forward, because there was a time where UK streetwear was kind of dead. Bless Benjar and shit, but there was a time when people were having to wear Benjar and trap style. Do you remember that? Do you remember that fucking garbage, right? But bless those people that found them, because they're black dudes doing their thing. But bless that we don't have to fuck having to wear. Thank God you don't have to see people on the streets wearing Benjar and trap star bits, because that sort of stuff used to make my eyes bleed. The logo, the designs, how gaudy it looked. It was literally like, if it felt like they were making a version of like Armani Exchange streetwear, those two brands in particular. Now at least we have up and coming brands doing their thing, that are kind of making pieces that you actually want to wear, you actually want to back. You actually want to kind of be proud of, to kind of put out there on your fucking feed and shit. So I'm all for it. I love it. I'm thankful that they're beefing, because they're going to bring the best out of each other, and hopefully the customers that like these type of tracksuits are going to get a lot out of it also. But if I had to be honest, even though I like Corteiz, I like Clint, I like what he's doing, I think the Palace one's better. Just the idea of taking a match day kit and turning it into a tracksuit, that's genius. And I'm sure, don't be surprised if in the later season of Corteiz they do something similar. They'll take an iconic, because could you imagine that iconic what is it, World Cup 2004 or maybe Euro 2002 Croatia kit? Like, could you imagine taking a Croatia Nike kit and making that into a tracksuit, or taking the infamous, what I've always wanted to make, the infamous Chile jersey from, like, I forgot it was a World Cup where Marcelo Salas played. Do you remember him? Is it Marcelo Salas, Chile World Cup? Like, imagine taking this particular jersey and then making this into a tracksuit. So I think what Palace have done, they've basically opened the floodgates for this type of design, because I think most people were just trying to, they were making the same fucking template of fucking tracksuit designs. But imagine this particular jersey. I've always loved this jersey. I think, was that from 98 World Cup? Imagine taking that particular jersey design and flipping it into a tracksuit with the Reebok sort of logo right up in the shoulder, the big color blocking with the blue collars and the the blue edges here on the sleeves. Imagine this with white pants with like a blue strip at the end, or the inner thigh. Like that would look so fucking hard. Like it would look really fucking good. So I think for the accusations of copying that fucking Corteiz has put out there regarding Palace, I think weirdly enough, a lot of brands, Corteiz included, are probably going to end up copying what they did with this particular design and doing their own little flips with their own little logos. You could do this. You could do it with Dortmund, right? Borussia Dortmund had the same kit, right? That loads of people would fucking love. Borussia Dortmund have a kit. I think it's from, is it the 90s kit? You could take that and make that into a tracksuit. That'll look fucking sick. Like all of these things, these will look fucking cool if you turn these into tracksuits. So yeah, big up Palace for inadvertently feeding the streets in a way, inadvertently feeding the streets. But I would love to know what's happening with fucking Lucian. Maybe he was sick, to be fair. So I don't want to go too deep into it. Maybe he was ill and I don't know nothing about it. But bloody hell, bro! Like from time a headband doesn't fit your head, like what one? Or maybe it's the lining. Maybe the lining is kind of, maybe it does fit his head and it's really padded and I can't see. But it looks like he can't, the headband can't even stay on his head. That's a madness. But the jersey is fucking fire. The tracksuit is fucking fire. I can't even lie on that one. So big up them. Big up them. Moving on and going back, unfortunately, to something a little bit macabre. I wanted to talk about this particular tweet. Big up the one and only Skream. So Skream posted this on Twitter. Unfortunately, I had to go on my burner to get this screenshot because I discovered in the process of trying to find this screenshot that Skream was another person that blocked me on social media. People love to block and I don't know why. I don't even think I've said anything bad to this guy. Like, I actually like him. I like Skream and Benga. And I used to watch this guy play all the time all over London and shit. But whatever reason, maybe he saw my comment somewhere else on someone's Twitter feed and got annoyed with it. But unfortunately, Skream blocked me, so I couldn't, screenshot it on my main account. I had to fucking make a dummy account, which is fucking gay as fuck to do, but I did it anyway. This particular tweet really broke my heart because obviously, I've been speaking a lot about the unfortunate passing of Jackmaster, RIP, the one and only Jackmaster. And it kind of, I don't know, man, it's heartbreaking because it kind of shows you the reality of the situation we're currently in, the current state of affairs in the industry and just society at large, and the fact that we don't really live in a redemption culture, really. We live in a place where people just want you to kind of suffer and kind of, be in a situation that you're in forever and ever and ever. So let me actually get you the piece here that I want to see. Bear with me 1 secundo. So this is the post here, courtesy of Jackmaster, and it says the following. Wish all the people posting about Jack would have been more vocal when he was actually alive. So many brands, magazines, etc. who would never mention his name now seem to have it all in their mouths. Token industry nonsense. That's very true, because in the wake of Jackmaster's unfortunate passing, there's been such an outpouring, crazy outpouring of love. People saying how much he meant, how much, Jackmaster meant to them, the times that they've seen him, sharing clips, sharing really funny stories, blah, 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 blah. But the reality situation is, Jackmaster was in a pretty bad place in his career, especially when you can think of how it started, right? He was, one of the hottest DJs in the industry, killing it, playing in all different places all over the world. And then unfortunately, he got into a situation where he was accused by festival staff for being inappropriate, sexual harassment and shit. And from what I remember the story, he was off his face on drugs. At the time, people thought it was ket or coke and shit. But I think later on, I remember watching a Vice documentary on GHB and how popular that was. He took part in that documentary and he was quite candid and said, yeah, I was going through crazy GHB addictions. And if you know anything about GHB, you'll know it's a liquid. And I remember him saying that he would buy GHB by the bottle. I don't even know that. Again, I've never taken it. I know people that do, but he would buy GHB by the liter bottle. So I can't imagine how much that is, but he would be getting through that on his own and just be super fucked up. And I remember as well at that time, because, there wasn't, I don't think the dance music social media forum thing was as big as it is now on Reddit. But I remember the time the word around the scene was that there were times when Jackmaster RIP would be so fucked he couldn't play. And sometimes he'd be with a friend and they'd be playing instead. He'd be in the booth jostling around, but he wasn't actually playing because he was so fucked up, or he'd just be so fucked up he had to cancel his gigs a lot. So that was the current narrative I was running around him. But if anything, for someone like myself that's a fan of his, that added to his mystery, that added to his allure, that added to his appeal, because he was this rock star DJ guy. Anyway, long story less long, when he was in this documentary, he did speak about how GHB negative affected him, and he didn't make an excuse for it, but he did say at the time, when he was really addicted to GHB, that might have partly explained why he did the thing that he was accused of doing, which was sexually harassing those girls at that festival. When it happened though, I remember him being very apologetic, owning up to it instantly, and I think that was also around the time when other big DJs were going down and they were not admitting it. They were basically gaslighting and victim blaming, and they were kind of ignoring it and luring up and stuff. But Jackmaster was one of the only people I remember that went through what he went through, being accused of sexual harassment by a girl. And he honestly said at the time, hey, this is not something that I did, you know, I didn't do this stuff on purpose. I took responsibility for what I did. I'm sorry. I apologize. And I think at the time, for whatever reason, the apology wasn't accepted. I don't understand why though. I never understood why at the time. Maybe it was, if looking back at it, maybe the reason why he wasn't kind of welcomed back with open arms was because maybe behind the scenes he really was a bad dude. I don't know. But for everything I've read online, it doesn't seem like he was. It seemed like everybody loved him. So I've always wondered why, when he did own up to his mistakes, when he did go and seek help, when he did take time away from the scene, and he did all the necessary things you need to do to kind of, you know, to have forgiveness, especially for the people involved. Because if I'm not mistaken, the girls involved, I think he even offered to kind of hand himself into the police. They said no. They were happy with his apology. The festival was happy too. They moved on. So I never understood why the industry at large still had a kind of like a, you know, it was kind of like a media blackout on fucking Jackmaster. I never understood that. It always kind of didn't sit well with me, because it's like, hold on, if he's actually sorry and he actually seems sincere, and he's asked forgiveness from the people that he's affected, and they've also moved on from it, why can't everyone else move on from it? Especially considering how, you know, full of horrible people the scene is in general. It just seems weird to kind of single out this one guy. So I'd imagine if you're Skream and you're one of his actual friends, it must be heartbreaking, because you know, and you know, let's just call a spade, most likely, you know, he might have been in a fucked up situation again, even though he was maybe sober for a while. He might have been maybe, you know, misery. He might have been trying to kind of like, you know, comfort himself by maybe indulging too much in drugs again, because of the place where his career was at, you know, not being booked and busy as much as he was. I remember when I actually, you know, found out about his passing and did my Googles and checked his RA, he wasn't as booked as I thought he would be booked. So it looked like clearly certain places had still, you know, had a kind of no Jackmaster allowed policy when it comes to bookings and shit. And again, I'm just hypothesizing and speaking into the wind. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but maybe that might have affected the situation that he was in, current mind state and whatnot. So if you're someone like Skream, or you're a close family and friend and shit, seeing people now pretending like, you know, he was the hottest thing since sliced bread and he was the best amazing DJ, but this very same industry people were the ones who didn't go out of their way to kind of welcome him back into the scene with open arms. So it must be really, really fucking heartbreaking. But it also shows to me that there is no forgiveness for certain things. It seems like when you are accused of certain things, regardless of if you've, you know, done the work to try to better yourself, there are some people who just would never forgive it. And maybe in some respects, Jackmaster was kind of unlucky. Maybe the time that he did quote unquote get cancelled, it was the time when there was maybe a collective feeling in industry that too many men had gotten away with too many horrible things, and that this was the time when enough was enough. We're going to put our foot down and permanently excommunicate these guys from the scene, because I felt like for a while guys were basically getting away with stuff and being welcomed back in the industry. So maybe some women thought, or some people in the industry just thought in general, enough is enough. Once this person is cancelled, it's cancelled. Maybe that was the thing, but I would love to live in a world where there is a path back to redemption. There is an ability to kind of be welcomed back into the fold, especially in an industry where people are always drunk and high and shit, you know, like things get messy. It's just really difficult to kind of, I guess there are cases where you can kind of see where somebody is actually quote unquote, you know, black and white, an evil person. But I think there are some occasions where you can maybe, you know, dull it up to somebody maybe being under the influence or going through some horrible things, especially when you think of Jackmaster. Like, he's had a lot of loss in his life, man. You know what I mean? losing both parents, you know, like at a young age, going through what he's going through, trying to subvert the dance music scene. Like, he's gone through a lot of things. Again, not to say they excuses whatever he was accused of, but you would think that maybe some grace could be extended because of those things that he went through, but unfortunately it didn't. So if you're people like Skream, it must be doubly heartbreaking to see the very same people that were kind of purposely ignoring him and act like he didn't exist. That's what it felt like for the last few years. Even though he came back, I feel like even the collaboration stopped. I don't feel like I've seen him doing back-to-backs with like bigger DJs that you would imagine he would play with before in the Boiler Room days. I don't think he did a Boiler Room since he came back into the industry. So it seemed like he was kind of doing his own thing. He wasn't really welcomed back into the scene properly, which is really, really heartbreaking, especially someone like him who, you know, probably grown accustomed to being a part of that industry, to feel like you're being excommunicated must have felt fucking terrible. So RIP to fucking Jackmaster once again. And there's also an article actually that I want to play here. One moment as I get out to play. I think I incorrectly big up NJ Ranger. I think I incorrectly hid you on my channel. I'll make sure to edit it later. But I think I incorrectly my fucking fat fingers hid you there, so apologies for the hiding there, my friend, but I'll get it sorted out when I finish the stream. So this is an article courtesy of RA speaking about Jackmaster, which kind of touches upon some of the things I touched upon him, you know, the difficulty in mourning his death of some people in the industry. So let's kind of read this particular one. So let's read this here courtesy of RA. I'll put the link in of the article itself in the description too, so you can check out yourself. But I think this is kind of important to read considering what's been going on here. So let's read this on the screen. So it says as follows. Shock ran through the dance music world this weekend as news broke that Jackmaster had died aged 38, squaring his death with an image of a man who, in his pomp, felt like the most lively performer and plausibly the most alive person on the planet is Raw. He was a huge talent who had a major impact on careers of thousands of artists as well as the listening habits of countless small fans. But talking about Jackmaster necessitates a complicated and, for those who counted him as a friend and associate, traumatic negotiation between competing memories. There are two Jackmasters in the public eye. We owe it to him and ourselves to be real about that. There is Jackmaster, aka Jack Reveal, one of the most magnetic DJs and on-the-money tastemakers that the music the UK has ever produced, loyal to a fault, who went out of his way to offer a leg up to seemingly everyone he met. People adore Jack. And by the way, that's a point that needs to be emphasized. There is a real lack of that nowadays. He was one of the few that did it, and did it with enthusiasm, and did it without expecting anything back. Legitimately put a lot of people on, connected people, like really was about that life. So RIP to him. There's also a superstar DJ, Jackmaster, whose Golden Boy status evaporated after a high-profile incident in the summer of 2018, where he admitted to sexually inappropriate behavior while blacked out on GHB. Following that, a significant number of people backed away. Again, those people are the worst, to be honest. To nullify the highs and to minimize the lows, smoothing the extremities of a rollercoaster life into a palatable pace now that he's gone, it's not true to actual Jack Reveal. As a generation of musicians and clubgoers grow old, to lose a masthead who was responsible for soundtracking those golden years, forging a huge volume of connections and opportunities as he went on, is wrenchingly sad. Yet, here is a clear reason why the bulk of eulogizing posts and assorted media, both selfies, tour highlights and afters clips, pains to the Incredibles era, conclude around the same period. How to sympathetically get your arms around somebody whose memory harbors both joy and pain. What could he have done differently? What could we have done differently? Understandably, most don't have the energy to put themselves through the ringer right now. The paralysis of just get to a point, brother. Across the weekend, I heard from thousands of Reveal's friends, fellow musicians and well-wishers across the globe, as well as those who did not know him, whose primary obsession with him was his bad behavior. In private conversations, no matter the stance or proximity, a similar takeaway emerged. The heaviness was being intensified by a lack of adequate language to express grief, reflect on Reveal's life, so there's a step forward in navigating this together. If you were a participant in a club scene roughly in 2016 to 2018, Jackmaster was an icon, sporting a highly time and place quiff and a sharp wit. He was a pure box office. Through Numbers, the label he co-founded, Rivel had a direct role in some of the most country's best music, from Sophie, Glass Swords, Backs and beyond. To watch Rivel tear through a quadruple reload of Rusty's then unreleased Ultra Fizz in 2011 seemed, without embellishment of rose-tinted specs, to be the apex of DJing as entertainment. And also remember, Jackmaster came about at a time where he was about during the peak, or the peak era of Boiler Room, when it first started, like, you know, when Boiler Room was like webcam. That's when he was about, you know what I mean? Pure webcam time. So you have to give this guy a lot of credit for that shit. Across the weekend, I heard from thousands, I said already, the moment in the 2000s folded into the early 10s is valorized for good reason. Nights out were exceptional, and the links between the city and the scene ironclad, and people freely trade entire catalogs of tunes led to dizzying cross-pollination at the production of the DJ level, through distributions like deals at Rubber Dub, touring and simply joining the dots between the generations on the rise. Rivel was a connection node at the heart of it. As a regular in the club circuit up and down the country at the time his career took off, Rivel's reputation was staked on his approachability, and he stayed faithful to that. Here was an increasingly famous person who could interface with possessing insane patience for having their ear chewed off, responding to fan DMs, or passionately debating Laurie D and Sheila E on socials and forums. It didn't hurt that he was charismatic, illegitimately very funny, and at a time many big league DJs telegraphed self-seriousness. Rivel boasted Glasgow's status as a vital conduit of the electronic culture, stomping out the numbers of Rubber Dub and Sub Club and Optimo and Lucky Me. He jumped out of the plane ahead of the going back-to-back with Armin van Helden for Boiler Room. To his core, Rivel advocacy for music and people was voluminous. It's not difficult to see where he became the most popular DJ in the world. There's an Advisor annual DJ poll stopped ahead of 2017 edition. It left Jackmaster frozen at the time at number 2. Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, it was number 2 at that time. There'll be many out there, including those who came club in 2018, who might be perplexed or even licensed the weekend outpouring of fondness. The incident which marred, that's very good. Let's get to the bit. The incident that marred Jackmaster's name remains inexcusable. Rivel said as much at the time. It brought into cold light the extent to which his consumption habits were affecting him. The sour note, is that many cheered on the indulgence as an extension of his aura, sashaying through the city after city and festival after festival, like a gadabout, hovering up pints and extracurriculars. I don't think that's true. No one was making excuses for his behavior. Everyone said it was terrible. People just thought their reaction to like completely excommunicating from the scene forever was a bit extreme. That was it, especially when the people involved had forgiven him and they were okay with it. Like, the police were meant to be involved. The people involved, the people that were affected, the actual quote-unquote victim, said, no, we're fine. We forgive the guy. The festival forgave him. They put out statements. Everybody seemed to be okay with the situation. He went, I think, to rehab, disappeared for like a year, and still everything didn't go back to normal for him career-wise. That seems a bit out of order to me. Misdirection around what took, especially because there was no other, I don't know, maybe I would have felt different if he had like a catalogue of those offences. Okay, then get the fuck out of here, you're weirdo. But it seemed like on paper, again, talking from the outside in, that was a one-off situation. If that's the case, then, like, you know, extend some grace to the guy. Misdirection around what took place at Love Saves the Day made the situation worse. Without relitigating the specifics, rumours swirled for an entire week that repurposed Rivel's behavior as little more than another cheeky notch on the belt of a sesh king. It was a callow way. It was a callow way to deal with sexual impropriety. It's hard to know the outcome of a frank mea culpa being delivered from the start, but for those with a professional duty to the care to leave the situation simmering in the comments was a dismal approach to handling public welfare. By the time full details emerged, the fiasco had become so inflammatory that no one was in a charitable mood. Rivel built his career different lane, but his public image was no great repair. That is kind of true, though. I do remember that is kind of true. When it did come out, the DLs weren't there, and maybe people were going out of their way to make it sound like it was a cheeky thing, and then when the details did come out, it sounded kind of serious, and people kind of started to reverse course. So, I don't know, man. I still think being excommunicated from the scene for that was a bit extreme, man. Especially when you think of people in the scene nowadays who are legitimate R-worders, who are still getting booked and stuff. Like, come on, man. The act took place in a parallel to conversations around equalizing initiatives and safety practices, which began changing dance culture for the better. Yeah, that's what I said before. I think the timing of his offense was just really bad. He did it at the time when people were kind of being fed up with that kind of like image of a DJ, that kind of, you know, machismo, alpha, cisgendered, whatever DJ guy, right? Like the Jamie Joneses, the Seth Chocklers, all these kind of people. People had kind of grown fed up with those guys, and they wanted a different thing on the lineup. They wanted more girls, they wanted more diversity, they wanted younger people, they wanted, you know, less sex pest. So I think, unfortunately for him, that event just was bad timing, you know? Unfortunately, there was a kind of a changing of the guard, changing of sensibilities, and he obviously paid a price for it. That was, as the victim statement noted, the entire point of Revell fronting up publicly. This wasn't smoke area chit-chat. Revell addressed it, apologized, sought to get clean, and paid professional price. He attempted to go down a path of rehabilitation that many in the industry would not tread. To mumble obliquely now about the intermission between Revell being legend in the scene and someone many could turn out from is disingenuous. Grappling with all this is uncomfortable, yet it doesn't compare to the distress of those affected, nor the women who may have felt unsafe in Revell's company thereafter, or anyone who subsequently questioned the allegiances and blurred morality of men they previously trusted. The truth is that many of the promoters, artists and writers and industry professionals posting tributes over the past 48 hours either deplatformed or disengaged from Revell after 2018. Maybe that's you, and it'll be a facile to pretend it wasn't RA too. Exactly. So for it's even worse for RA, because RA went out their way to kind of excommunicate the guy, and they are the masters at picking and choosing. They are the kings and queens of picking and choosing who deserves forgiveness, who deserves to be chastised, who deserves to be ignored. It's really fucking unfair and fucking shit, I'm not gonna lie, which is why I kind of like the DJ poll and why I wanted to come back. The DJ poll was the most democratic bit of media in dance music, because the fans who actually go to events could vote for the DJs that they liked, and then they could kind of, you know, give them the reward of being voted in top DJ. And sometimes, most of the time anyway, it was sometimes the person that wasn't maybe the darling of RA or wasn't really loved in the industry that was getting shone a light on. And then in the comments you'd find people kind of commenting and saying who they also liked in the scene, and they were kind of bigging up. But you know, they got rid of it, because I think partly RA got rid of the DJ poll because of pressure from labels and agencies and festivals and shit. I think so personally, because obviously, you know, the top people were the top people, and some of their names, they couldn't get them on the list. So I think a lot of the labels and stuff probably were getting affected. I'm sure some of the DJs themselves were probably citing mental health. You know, people are always crying about mental health and shit. So I'm sure some DJs that weren't getting on the poll were crying about that, so they took it down. But I think that DJ poll was honestly one of the best ways for fans, actual real fans, to you know, positively affect the career trajectory of their favorite DJ by voting for them and getting them on there. Sometimes even if you finish like dead last or 50th, quote unquote, it still was a good look, because you know, you're like a local hero doing your thing. So yeah, what can you do? Let's continue. I've penned, big up Colin. Yeah, I know. I've got to change it. Apologies, NJ Ranger. I'm gonna, when I finish this, I'll change it. I promise. I'll unban you. I did it by accident. My fat fingers unfortunately did it. I really do apologize. Continuing on, I penned obituaries and breaking news before, but never have judgment calls over language felt so tricky. There's a jarring chasm between warm souvenirs of a man I owe a great deal of early career work and ecstatic dance floor outings to, and the starkness of the timeline. They may be still disquieting developments to follow. Reporting in the midst of a posthumous reckoning with an artist's reputation is a collision of competing perspectives, and no one is infallible when trying to land the neatest version of history, not least RA. I don't think many of us in music had chance to satisfactorily navigate the complicated feelings about Revell's legacy. We just suppressed them. No, you didn't suppress them. You guys negatively affected his career. You took food out of his mouth, maybe affected his relationship with his family, friends and everything, and probably in some ways contributed to his death, unfortunately. You know, everyone has to play a role. Everyone has to play a part in it. It's like when that lady from fucking Love Island unfortunately unalive themselves. Everyone on social media pretending like, what the stuff that they said about that presenter didn't kind of, lead to her maybe doing that. It was also being incorrect as well. It's like, no, you played a part too. You have to own up to it. It is what it is. It ended obviously really sad, but you have to kind of be honest and have some level of awareness and responsibility of the part you played. It continues. In hindsight, there was some uneasy foreshadowing. When I interviewed Ravel for The Art of DJing in 2018, he mentioned substance, hardships, anxiety, and compulsive behaviors over a dozen times, and that's just what made it to publication. That interview, which took place only months before Ravel's career unraveled, reveals self-awareness that he was dancing dangerously close to the edge. The quote, it's one of my real regrets that this portrayal of me as a party boy is maybe leading the impressionable young music heads to see and replicate that mentality as a benchmark of cool. Jackmaster is expected to be a guy who is the life and soul, cracking jokes, good time personified. But there's a difference between Jackmaster and Jack Rivel. I can't turn it on all the time. That can be very draining because a long party really takes it out of you at best of times. I've seen quite a lot of DJs fall by the wayside. To say that yeah, exactly. Can you imagine the pressure of that? Imagine you want to be on your best behavior. You go to a rave and then somebody's offering you drugs, free drinks, this and that, like just because you got this persona of being this party boy. So it must have its positive, but the negatives still maybe sometimes outweigh it. It continues. To say that any substantive industry conversation about Jackmaster over the past 6 years didn't at least partially touch on drugs and the events of 2018 is dishonest. For all its peaks, the 2010 scenes was stunned when it came to talking about excesses and self-care. His endurance was legion and a key part to his exhibitionist flair, and I don't think anyone fully weighed up the ramifications of a larger-than-life persona which took him to the top. And there is a lack of accountability, lack of kind of adult responsibility about that, isn't it? You kind of laud somebody for their party boy antics, for their larger than life persona, for their rock star lifestyle, then you get shocked at the things that they get up to. It's like, this is some rock star shit. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it goes very, very badly. This is kind of what it is. So for people to kind of become puritanical and to get their fucking knickers in a twist and start clutching their pearls when they hear some pretty dicey shit about the guy and what he may have done in his private life or behind the scenes, I don't know, it feels a bit disingenuous. It honestly does. But like I said previously, I just think he was unlucky. The timing of what he did, when he did it, the scene changing, unfortunately it ended the way it ended. We live and work and consume culture in a radically different way in 13 years to 15 years ago. The shifting standards of how to talk about accountability and atonement are doubly complex when there's a personal element at play. Questions over how Rivel could have more compassionately supported first while he was burning the candle at both ends, and then in recent years on relative detachment, will gnaw away at a lot of people from a long time. There's no easy way to make peace with a tragic arc, but I believe there is a wrong one. That would be to brush it under the carpet. There would be a disservice to everyone, including Rivel and his loved ones. Those who look back on Rivel's time fondly can feel guilty, conflicted, or even devastated by his death without skirting the material details while striving to laud him. I just think we need to live in a world where people can atone, bro. He atoned. Immediately apologized, asked for forgiveness, offered to hand himself to the police, got sober, disappeared for a year. What more can someone do? He did everything that needs to be done. He spoke about it candidly on camera, in print. Like, god damn. Like, the way they excommunicated him was if he ran away from the situation, refused to apologize, continued that pattern of behavior, cool. But the guy tried. He tried to make things right, and it wasn't enough. It was almost like a one strike and you're out, which is fine. I don't mind. But let's apply it across the board. It's not the same across the board. Some people get 2 strikes. Some people get 7. Some people get unlimited strikes and they're still around. Like, come on, man. He was a real person whose appetite for living took him to soaring heights and dark lows. The breadth of his influence goes beyond his capacity to throw as a DJ. You can measure it at how concrete, indefiable age in a modern clubbing flows through him. Jackmaster personified an era, and partially in response to his actions, progressive dance culture made strides to move past that era. Reading tributes over the past couple of days, there's a profound sense of loss that era to a large extent now rests with him. beyond grieving the friend and the scene's figurehead, the sadness is magnified by the fact that at multiple points events might have been preventable. Life is complicated, but you have to live with yourself at the end of the day. Reveal work towards that and recognition. We should talk about him honestly. If you want honesty, if you want my honesty, here it is. I'm gutted by all of this, that this story took this path, and that any of us have to write these tributes at all cuts to an extremely deep level. No, I agree. He's right. But I think in general, the really sad thing about this is that we've all kind of learned a lesson, I think, collectively as a scene. And I think, you know, the Seth Truxler, Jamie Jones era, it doesn't exist anymore. Those type of DJs don't exist. That type of lifestyle isn't really lionized or popularized or encouraged, really. And I think it's a good thing. I think we've all kind of collectively kind of moved away from it. People kind of do that sort of stuff behind the scenes still, but no one is encouraging guys to be like sex hounds and sex pests and party monsters to that kind of level. You know, you're kind of maybe allowed to get away with it a little bit more in the LGBTQ kind of gay scene because, you know, they're a little bit more of a hedonistic kind of scene in general. But I think in the hetero kind of dance music world, that sort of stuff isn't really seen as a good thing anymore, which is a good thing because I think there's a lot more women and other people involved who kind of need to be looked after and maybe treated a little bit more differently than the lads would. That's a good thing. And obviously when it comes to Jackmaster's legacy, probably the only way he was going to be remembered positively was if he passed anyway, because there was no path of redemption, it seemed like. But now that he's not around anymore, people are realizing and remembering, oh shit, just how important he was for the scene, how great of a DJ he was. And maybe in his passing, people will now you know, understand, you know, the importance of rehabilitation, the importance of reintegrating people back into society, especially if they showed real remorse, if they're trying to do good. I think that's the best way to go about things. And again, this could be different if I'm speaking out my ass, because maybe people know things in the industry, maybe he was doing more than what was being reported, who fucking knows. But from what we've been able to know on paper and from what we see on media, it didn't seem like he had a pattern of this type of behavior with girls. It seemed like that particular event was the one that was a bit crazy. He made his apologies, he tried to do, you know, the right thing. It didn't work out, and he basically paid a price ever since then. It's been a long, slow death in a weird way. His career has never really fully recovered from that point, which is a real shame because, you know, he was a fucking legendary DJ. That's what people are remembering him by. But it has been nice to see. I'm not gonna lie, it's been fucking great to see all the tributes of him online. People just posting set after set after set after set, mix after mix, blend after blend. It's been fucking brilliant to see. So at least people are remembering positively in that way. So big up Jackmaster. Before we end here, let me quickly read some messages here before I go. Big up, let me scroll up here, see what I've seen. Big up Ruby. We are all flawed and have done shit, so it's all ironic to see people act high and mighty. Exactly. Like if you've done bad shit, talk about accountability, take accountability, change your behavior. That's the best you can do. Exactly. Big up Eduardo Madeira. Big up Netwatcher. Haven't heard of, oh yeah, true, Asquith. I spoke about him on my thing, innit? Yeah, big up Asquith, or not big up Asquith. Asquith has disappeared, and also the founder of Crossbreed, the kink party that I spoke about too. I haven't yet. Oh, Asquith had a popping social media, didn't he? Instagram profile. Was it? I think it's Jimmy Asquith, right? What happened to his social media or his Instagram? Because he was quite, I think he was quite popular on Instagram because he was posting all the memes. He was doing that thing to get famous where he turned his DJ profile account on social into just a meme account. Yeah, he's still private, so he doesn't post on there anymore. I wonder what he's doing now. Is he just like working a regular job? He doesn't DJ anymore, does he? I don't think I've seen Asquith DJ in ages. Let's see if he's got any sets available on his RA. I think he might have just quit. Maybe just quit. Yeah, so fuck. There are people who haven't come back. Yeah, no events. It's just his past. Let's see past events. When's the last time he's played that's been documented on RA? Or maybe he's playing under a different name or something. That could be a thing. Yeah, the last time he played was in 2002, and that event was cancelled because I think that's probably around the time when he got, you know, he got exposed as being a little bit of a bad dude. Jesus Christos. Yeah, okay, cool. There are people who haven't come back at all. Let's continue here. He seemed like a real considerate chap. Big up Netwatcher. You can see the pain even in the Origins doc. Exactly. Yeah, I agree, man. Even the way some parts were filmed kind of lacked boundaries, respectfully, oversharing and such. The flirtatious, flagrant expressions, the sesh life, all escapism. It's Freddie Mercury and such. I think the way things were handled was horrific. It was bad timing for him. They came for him. I watched nearly every interview of him, and he always seemed like something was. Yeah, something was off. Yeah, I agree. Like he never seemed very present interviews, he always seemed like he was somewhere else, but he also seemed very troubled. Like, he gave me a lot of vibes of, like, if you remember the iconic Seth Troxler interviews from back in the day, Jamie Jones, those guys are always off their nut, but they were always kind of like, you could say there was a lot of pain there. And I think if Seth Troxler talks about, you know, he was engaged to one of, you know, love of his life type of thing, and that didn't really work out because of his touring life. So, you know, it took it out of them. They got a lot from it, became really successful, really rich and stuff, famous, but personally they had to deal with a lot. Do you know what I mean? You're kind of, imagine people in your life are passing away, you can't go to funerals because you're on tour, you can't hang out with your partner because you're on tour, you know, you have a really unhealthy relationship with booze and drugs and shit. It can be really hard. So, you know, he was, you know, the last of the Mohicans when it comes to that Jackmaster. But again, losing your mum at that age, I think he lost his mum when he was like 6 or something, right? And I think his dad, I think he lost his dad maybe some years after that Origins videos was filmed. So both parents gone. Like, oof, tough to deal with, man. Tough to deal with. Yeah, bit up Coiler, yeah, but I love Seth Troxler as well. I'm a big fan. And Seth Troxler is actually the only one who's actually changed his life around completely and gone the complete opposite way and really gone like be a normal family man and chilled out and shit. So big up Seth Troxler for doing that, but it's probably a lot harder said than being done in it. So big up Seth Troxler, RIP Jackmaster, and all those things in between. Anyways, my friends, that has been the Action Zing Show episode number 7. What is it? 7. No, 7. 829. Wow, it's been so many numbers. 829 episode of Tazz. Thank you for tuning in. If it's your first time tuning in via the podcast app, make sure you leave me a 5-star review, please. If you're watching via the YouTube, like the stream, subscribe. Timestamps will be added afterwards, as well as notes and whatnot. Make sure you see them. My tune of the day is going to be the one and only Tiger and Woods. Been a long time since I played them. I used to play this, you know, I used to play Tiger and Woods tunes every time during my set. They make some of the best new disco dance records you've ever heard in your entire life. I fucking love them, and I'm going down the, you know, down the path of memory lane and playing a lot of stuff I used to play when I used to DJ a lot out there in the streets. So definitely check out Tiger and Woods. Such a great duo that you know, they don't make as much tunes as they did in the past, but honestly, I fucking love Tiger and Woods. And the tune I'm going to be playing is License to Vibe featuring M. That's my tune today. For those of you listening to the audio side of the pod, you'll be hearing that underneath my voice as I play this today. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you wanting Random Show, that'll be happening later on tonight. Random Show probably at 11 p.m. or something my time. Random Show will be on again, so tune back then. You know where to find the Random Show channel at my actual channel itself. But for everybody else, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. For now, take care and be safe. Peace.